Yespixel number 19. Wow, Yespixel number 19.
He did it.
Our guest, WTF Moses. I hit record, guys. I did it.
He hit record.
WTF Moses, how's it going, man? We'll get to you in a second. But first,
Hello.
Trums got us with our ad read for today.
That's right, you guys. Today, sponsor, big sponsor. We've been trying for this one for a while. It is the life source of all of us here on this podcast. We did it. We landed oxygen. We have oxygen as a sponsor. Baby. Breathe it in, guys. That's because of us that you guys are able to breathe that good shit in here on the Yespixel podcast. This is the kind of content that we bring to you guys.
Yeah. So
the life-giving
when you're breathing in today, don't breathe out just for a second. Just
hold it in.
Let it
hold it in.
Let it roll
hold it in for 5 minutes.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
20 if you're feeling lucky.
Don't listen to him.
Maybe don't do that. Don't try it underwater either. We haven't got the water sponsorship back yet.
That data was for this ad is only for plants, by the way. Only for plants. If you're a human, not for you.
Yeah. So just
episode 19, almost at 20. Moses.
Big episode. Not just because we have WTF Moses, one of the biggest content creators
in the
Facebook.
World.
Oh, no. Fucking bastard. Okay. All right.
But we have a lot to talk about today. We do have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of stuff going on the server still. We're coming into the Christmas months, which means, Christmas shit's going to be out soon. We're going to have all that.
Snowball fights. Looking forward to it.
We got the No Pixel Music Awards. They'll probably have happened by the time this episode comes out, or will be happening like right at that time. Formula One stuff is starting soon. Which is really, really cool.
That's going to be sick.
Yeah.
Although they did I recently heard that they're getting rid of controller players. So
yes. No, I just don't think you'll be able to use a controller at all. In fact, I actually have a good little.
I don't know how I'm gonna fly a helicopter.
I have a good little clip.
You can't use controllers at all. Oh my god!
For the Formula One stuff, I actually had a good screenshot. I'll just read it out. It was from someone in a chat. He says, "This whole no controller thing really threw me off today. Completely like." It's crazy to not allow the user trying to experience their view into RP to be to express their movements in whichever way, mouse and keyboard or sticks. Obviously, his grammar is weird, but
I'm going to hold my controller for my take on this, or else I won't be able to answer. I don't care. What
tweets about this?
I don't think. Did I tweet about it? I don't know if I.
You tweeted about trying out controller.
Yeah.
How's the Switch? Is it good?
I did it for 20 minutes. I think. Yeah, I didn't. You know what, man?
This just isn't worth it.
I think that it's
retraining.
I think that the Reddit stuff I think I saw about this was mostly just like why the change. I guess do you guys have an opinion on why they made the change?
I think it's uniformity.
Just like to keep everybody on the same.
I think there's just a clear advantage for some people with controllers.
Is there actually does it have auto aim on corners or something?
No,
what does it do?
You can take curved corners instead of like imagine like a perfect curve versus like a jag like this.
So
consistency of input then.
In general, a keyboard is 0 to 100. There's 2 inputs on and off, right? Whereas with a joystick, you can just like gently turn it to the left or turn it to the right, or even with the shoulder buttons, you can gently brake or gently accelerate, right? So you get this massive increase by being able to control traction better. That's why like guys like Goofy are absolutely cracked when it comes to driving. Like they can drift around corners and shit like that, and it's all because
the game was designed for controller.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't designed to be used.
People don't actually know this, but we actually all use controllers for the podcast.
It's our input. Yeah, I guess and I don't really follow the racing scene that much, but was this like a big argument in the?
There was always some contention. There was always people tried to make like their own racing like rules. They'd be like, no high control driving. They would be like, so it'd be like keyboard only, basically.
Oh, I see. Got it. Man, this really is a cross genre issue. I've been playing a lot of COD recently, and there, the controller versus keyboard and mouse debate is now spilling into the streets of No Pixel, which is incredible to see. I don't think it should either.
I hate the appeal to mechanical shit on the server recently. Like the whole racing thing, in my opinion, I feel like that's one of the reasons the server's doing bad. because it gives people an out from roleplay into focusing on mechanical shit, and they use it as a crutch. There was a tweet a couple weeks ago of someone tweeting about, hey, don't take away my fast driving cars because now you're affecting my roleplay.
Yeah, like my character
Roleplay.
expresses himself through driving fast.
Stupid,
So
man.
they took like the meme that we say literally, right? Like we say like
God.
my character is a strong criminal who shoots good and drives fast.
It's crazy.
And he's-
Crazy, man.
And he like, says the actual thing.
I think it's the need to be it's a competitive roleplay server. It's competitive.
Those two
It's-
words do not.
It
need to
sucks,
be-
does it not? Is that not the worst thing you've ever heard in your fucking life? You know, I
God.
don't. Did you guys get lost in your cameras? You guys okay? Did you get trapped? Okay, I'm just checking.
I was trying to help. I was trying to help.
Yeah, it
it's
sucks,
contagious.
but it's across all parts of the roleplay, whatever is left of it. I mean, the need to, your time trial is your character. Your lap times are who you are as a person. The amount of guns you can traffic, and the amount of money you have, the amount of stores you have, the influence. If you have a money printer, you've arrived. It's if you don't have your thing, you are nothing.
I think if I had to
and
pick
your
one of those,
roleplay matters more if you have these mechanical traits, which is what it does is it pigeonholes the people who are actually role playing to not want to role play and either leave or
Mhm.
conform to the status quo, which is join big gangs, be a cog in the machine grinding shit, or being a driver, or being a fucking shooter. And the role play, every time those things get buffed, the counter to that is role play is diminishing. That's
Mhm.
why 2.0 will always be better than 3.0, and 1.0 I wasn't around for, but I've been told it was better than 2.0.
There were also no mechanics back then.
Yeah.
Like
No code. Yeah, there was nothing left.
Fewer mechanics makes better roleplay. I've said it before. I'll say it again.
I agree. Everyone's
It's-
like, "Oh, 4.0 is going to change it. They're going to add so much. It's going to make NoPixel so good." It's no.
I hope
adding more
so.
is not
I hope
gonna
so.
help.
I hope
It's
so,
not gonna
man.
help.
I hope so. Like, I guess this is what I would like to preface like this discussion with, because there's two things I think that get forgotten a lot. First, there's no other better server. Doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how bad it is now. There is no better place. There's no
And then
better place
people
with
look.
dev support. No better place with the characters and personalities. You cannot build a career on other servers if you truly want to. It sucks that a lot of people sometimes look at NoPixel as a career lever, and that's it. Like it is
It's a
something.
mistake. Trust me.
Yeah, I know that, and if that's your mentality, I think that you will eventually fail. But the true reality is that the devs, the management team, have made a place that is the spot to go and try and play your RP craft in the whole world. It's a world-renowned server, and it's to the point where people were copying it. However, it is also a place that has obviously shifted from and with the people on it to something that it necessarily wasn't necessarily before. And the mechanic stuff, I think, contributes to like an economy. Like if you don't have a mechanic, you do not participate in the economy of whatever it is of attention. Yeah, well, I'll use the word clout very, very loosely here. Like, it is a clout economy. And if you cannot contribute by either having a mechanic, bringing something to a gang, or bringing attention to the server, you do not participate in the clout economy. And thusly, sometimes your characters and your roleplay doesn't get the forefront.
Can I add to that? The way I worded it, I feel like I worded it. Mechanics are not the issue. The issue is the type of mechanics and what they facilitate. For example, the Russian shit, that was devs adding mechanics to generate roleplay.
Mhm.
Right.
And those mechanics, in my opinion, if that's done consistently, and all these little like microcosms of roleplay hubs are created and they intermingle, I guarantee you in a week or two, the server is going to feel alive again. It's probably going to feel much better than 3.0. But if you appeal to the same demographic that's mechanically based, racing, shooting, all this dumb shit, it's just going to keep going into a spiral of decline where it's at the state it's at now, unfortunately.
I don't think NoPixel can exist without. It's a tough situation, right? Because I think that NoPixel is man, it's such a there's so much going on, right? Because you have a business that underlays all of this as well. A business that costs, I imagine, an extensive amount of money to keep afloat. So on one hand, you have, you know, the mechanics and the hub stuff that you're talking about. I think is really important, but it's when the gates go up around the mechanics. You know, when it goes behind, you know, you have to be in with a gang in order to get access to this, or you need to be in with you need to be in high command to have access to this, or all SRU is something that I think is something that is a coveted thing. How many cert resets, how many flushes, like every once in a while an arbitrary decision gets made, and I know I'm kind of disconnected from BD, so I don't want to step out of turn, but it seems as if sometimes arbitrary decisions get made and then wide sweeping changes come in, and then you have an effect, and then it's either negative or positive, and then more changes come, and maybe it swings the pendulum back the other way, and all of a sudden you have this extreme where it all of a sudden feels very, it feels bumpy. You don't really know what to expect. And that's why I think why people get frustrated with what appears to be a lack of equality in like how things get applied and distributed.
I can see that.
I agree with that.
Not to change the subject, but real quick, I'm really interested in this. I want to keep it going, but real quick, let's let everybody know who you are, what you do, in case some people are listening. They're like, wow, who's this really smart guy talking right now? Tell us about your character. Tell us about how long you've been on the server. Just give us some of that.
Yeah. So my name is Derek. I go by wtfmoses online. So I'm a content creator like everybody else here. I first got into roleplay a couple of years ago when I made the move to Facebook. I was looking for a change from PUBG. And I decided that something I always loved was improv comedy. I love the idea, the whole idea of role play was really attracting me, especially cop RP. So I decided I was going to join a public server, got into it. I rolled my first character, Derek Mcnulty, since I loved The Wire.
That's the guy.
I know that guy.
Yeah, so that was my first character, and the absolute preeminent self-insert of all of my characters that I've ever played. Zero difference. As much as I love to say, like, oh yes, the character Mcnulty really is okay with this situation, but internally I was, screaming because it was me. All the bad things that happened to my character affected me directly, and I carry that weight to this day. Just joking. The RP journey really culminated in getting onto NoPixel and just trying to get on. But I didn't play Mcnulty. I played a character that had more criminal leanings, which was Smooth Williams, a character I played on Our Benefactor. Played with a stable, got in with those guys early. I had a really fun time when I first got into NoPixel. And it was...
Was the stable a gang, or did you work with horses?
Well, I'm not sure if you ever met Mick Janssen. He used to go by Mick Flair until the actual Mick Flair was no longer.
I remember the name change drama. I remember that.
Yes. No. So anyway, so that all that was his gang. Nancy Drew was in it with Dick Chicklets. I was in it with Xavier Valentine. Kirk Jerkums was in it as well. So a lot of people who have since gone on. Like Nancy was always like. And Kate, the streamer, I know her from PUBG. And I mean, if you've even spent 5 minutes talking with her, you know that she's like a walking, just virulent success wherever she goes. And she's a very hard worker. And she brought a lot to the table, taught me a lot about and introducing me to people on the server because we had known each other. But the NPL was my big thing when the paintball stuff was going on and doing the announcing. That was the only way Mcnulty was able to ever really progress as a character on NoPixel, because I was able to be using my esports stuff, which I had done on the side for PUBG as a character trait. Again, self-insert, just be like, oh yeah, I happen to do. Yeah, exactly. So we did paintball casting, and it was really fun.
PUBG casting's hard, by the way. I tried to do it a couple times. It's very difficult, a lot to keep track of.
Lots going on.
You know what's funny to me about that? Your self-insert has more character traits than most people on the server, which is insane.
Well, I try to put all my I do truly love RP, and really I don't think there's a better therapy than to kind of go and kind of live out your own anxieties and problems in like a fake career. You know, because we all have like this notion of, you know, at least myself, I won't speak for all of us, but Mcnulty.
No, speak for us.
You know, it was, I had a hard time dealing with the fact that, because on OB, like I had a little bit of PUBG clout and people knew who I was. So like my character did get preferential treatment to an extent, like my criminal character.
It feels so good. Your preferential treatment feels so good, man.
It does feel good. But I almost had a bit of an expectation that whatever magic I wasn't, you know, whatever magic I had that I'd never attributed to simply a server owner giving me preferential treatment to come over to NoPixel. And I quickly realized this Mcnulty, I think it was a formative moment for me is when I walked up to Martel in the parking garage and just had a small inquiry about what the final process was like. Not can you do my final or something like that, because I was a cadet. I was like trying really hard, took everything super seriously, and I was like, oh, I'm going to just ask this captain here, who obviously as a captain is, you know, inclined to pass along information to cadets and will treat me nicely. And as I walked up to Captain Martel, I said, yes, Captain Martel, I have some questions about the final process. She ripped a strip off me that was 3 inches deep. I swear to Christ. And like in character, me, Derek Mosley, the character Derek Mcnulty, was like, I can't believe this is like, this is a captain. I can't believe this is happening. The absolute gall of this lady to yell at me. And then you know what? I thought about it for a second, and I was like, you know what? Who walks up to a captain and just starts asking questions? This cadet, you know, and that was like, click, like, you're a fucking cadet, pal. Get back down, get down there, you know, do your time or whatever. And yeah, that was like my first like welcome to the shit kind of moment where it was just like, you can't just you're nobody. Get used to it. And it was kind of freeing after that too, honestly.
I agree with that. Yeah. I feel like everybody who plays the cop has this moment where they especially if you like don't really follow the culture, you come in thinking that it's so serious that it's like, dude, you're a cop, you know, you're following the rules and all that. It's like even Moosebeard very early on went from being a criminal to being a cop, and making that swap too is like, well, I can't even like be around my friends who do crime now, and so I kind of gotta like break relationships. Well, it's like, no. You know, you don't realize how okay that is once you've been around for a while. You I think there was like a battle. I think that another realization I had was actually when Carmine became a cop. So I didn't know Chains at all. I barely even knew Carmine, except for I think I came in drunk as Mcnulty before I was a cop, and it was like I was completely blasted out of my mind. And Carmine was leading me down the garden path and like, yeah, come into my office. Found I had no money, kicked me out of the casino, and all this other shit. Perfect like pre-cop Carmine moment. But yeah, with the IA stuff with Carmine, where I was just like, you know what? I don't want to fire this fucking guy. I don't think that this should lead to a permanent consequence. I don't like, and that was the first time where I was like, this motherfucker to the SOPs should be instantaneously fired. Yeah. Instantaneously. And then it was just like, but then we don't have him around anymore, which was that is a way worse outcome in my opinion. And then my whole mentality around, and that was almost like the day where I was like, you know what? I'm going to kill this fucking guy. I'm going to kill Mcnulty. I don't think I'm going to like, I have to evolve.
You telling me I inadvertently killed off Permager character?
I was waiting for this podcast to tell you that you're the reason that Mcnulty is dead.
Oh no.
That and some other stuff.
Okay.
No, man. I think that it's, you know, the cop experience is on NoPixel is like you come to the realization that what you do doesn't matter, and how you come to terms with that is going to dictate whether or not you can stay a cop or not. You're never going to get the bad guy, probably. You know, the true bad. Like really, if we're gonna, you know, take ourselves out of it and just like, you know, cop versus crim, no one will ever win. Because if you win, then the overall scenario is over. So Mr. K never loses everything. The terrorist doesn't stay in jail. Even the lifers don't stay in jail anymore, because look at what Bane did as a character.
He's out.
He fucking RP'd his way out of jail. In my opinion, that's one of the greatest RP success stories ever. And there was so many people who were saying it was like, no, he's a lifer. He killed people. His RP is that he's a lifer. He should stay in jail forever. Okay, then what? Then he just I guess he just dies in jail. Like, what happens? So it's I
hate that
everything's made up and the points don't matter. That's life.
Dude, you said that once in character, and I knew the reference too. It's like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah,
it's a really good way to put it. And you know what? It also falls in the fact that this is all improvisation. Everything's just improvised. And who was it? Again, kind of mentioned him a little bit before the podcast began, but Space Boy. I rated him the other day after I was done my Tim Littleman stuff, and went over, and he was getting arrested, and he went off on a tangent about roleplay in general. And one of the things that he said was, it's all just for fun. And he mentioned how he appreciates that Coil is like heading up the server, because while he's incredibly aggressive with how he does it, Coil is always making these decisions that generally are about making more fun for people.
Yeah.
Right. And I just love that, because one of my things has always been, especially as a cop, and this is something that I like absolutely noticed as a cop and even as a littleman, is I really only want to do things if people are going to be having fun.
Yeah.
So it's like when we kidnap somebody, we give them a different kind of kidnapping. We ask them how they are. I give them a chance to introduce themselves, tell us about their character, kind of like, break out of their shell a little bit. Whereas with other kidnappings, I don't know if people just like stand around and point guns at them and don't really ask them any questions, but I want to know about this person. I want to talk to them and give them an opportunity. Or even when I'm being a cop, I'm not just going to show up at a boost and see the guy lock picking the car and just rip him out, take him to jail. Right. Like it's about making sure that, like, yeah, we got to do our job. Yeah, we got to do all this other stuff, but like everybody should be having fun. That's our whole goal of being here, is to just have fun.
Yep.
The least we can do is make things fun for people.
Yeah, it's I had a Space Boy taught me a great lesson one time, and indirectly, I think I was a solo cadet. He was doing some shenanigans on James. He stabbed a guy at Burger Shot, something like that. I went there as Mcnulty. I was the only one there, dealt with it. We had this long RP scenario of him like telling me about his cousin Ricky, or his nephew or something, Ricky. He's showing me texts. I give him a phone. He's taking pictures of me in the cells. He's sending pictures of me to myself now, asking me if I'm Ricky. Just like this long RP scenario, right? And what we were told as solo cadets is that if a person says that they want to plead not guilty, you send them up for the full time and the full fine. I spent an hour with Space Boy down in the cells, RPing, doing whatever. And at the very end of all this RP, I sent that poor bastard up for full time and full fine because he pled not guilty, because that's what we were told to do. And his reaction on stream was a bit confused, I will admit, because him and I were operating on two different understandings of the scenario and what was expected. Because what's explained to you as a cadet, what's ingrained to you as a cadet, as a cop, is follow the rules or this will happen. Most of it is around either being fired, being disciplined, or whatever. I took it seriously. I was just like, well, of course he's going to expect this, because this is what all cops do, because that's what we were taught. And he's like, I can't fucking, and he was rightly upset. And I like watched that scenario back, and then I was upset that he was upset, because I thought that he was in the wrong. And the more I thought about it, I was like, if that was me, I would be fucking pissed too. And I was like, well, then why are they telling us to do it like that? And that is the disconnect, I think, where a lot of issues happen between cops and crims, is that you have this notion that you're taught to do something this way based on the rules of the SOPs as it was written, based on a server that doesn't really exist anymore. And that's okay, because it's okay to evolve, but you also have to evolve the teaching, and you also have to evolve the, I don't know, like it is a weird kind of like, it's a culture battle between serious RP and like I don't know, like I don't want to call it non-serious, but casual, or I don't know. Consequences seem to be a faux pas now. What do you guys think? Like, do consequences, like true consequences, belong on the server anymore?
They either don't exist or they exist in such a way that there's no way to respond to them, right? Either they're pretend consequences where you have to wait in a cell for a couple minutes, or there's
real consequences.
You get unwhitelisted. It's basically what it is. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Well, I'm talking like true, like what? So I think that I think that unfortunately the subreddit is a big part of the culture of the server, and I think a lot of people will take their opinions of things from a generally negative place, because I think that a lot of viewers right now, and unfortunately a lot of our peers as well, because we're so in tune with our audiences. If our audience is telling us that the RP sucks, we kind of believe it sometimes.
Like an echo chamber.
Yeah, an echo chamber, exactly. So once we get down this negative path, it becomes more of a Teamster thing, where it's like either they're doing something wrong and deserve to be treated better or badly, or it's a Teamster thing, or it's not a Teams thing. So consequences in RP are like, it's time lost. Losing we want to see big losses to have something be meaningful. And thusly, I think court has really suffered, and medical RP has suffered, because it's fatigue of repetition, I think. I think Judd made a good point on Twitter where he said, how many times do you want me to RP being hurt? How many times do you want me to RP being, afraid of the cops? Or, we all know that the consequences don't really manifest. So does RP have a chance to survive long term? It's a big question. I don't know if you guys think that like true consequences belong in RP. Is that something that should motivate criminal characters?
Yeah, I don't know. I think me and Diody both have this thing where
Winston Walker.
Walker. We
a fucking gem.
If we get, I love the guy. If we get injured in such a way on our cops that it feels impactful, we'll make some rolls and then suffer some consequences. And the first time it happened, people are like, "Oh my God, John! Like, are you okay? You're gonna make it." And the fifth time it happens, people are like, "He'll be fine in a week.
He'll be all right."
Even though Stu only has one arm, by the way.
Yeah. It's I just wonder where you start applying the this wider, like, versus consequences, cop versus crim or whatnot, but also just the cadence of the server, because I think it has really become one side or the other, and it's it doesn't feel collaborative. So I think that Chains brought up a great example with the Russian RP. That was the hottest news in town when that stuff started showing up. People were like breaking in. Nikes or who's running it? Is it Nikes that's running it?
Is it Nikes or Nikes? How's it?
I say it's easy, so I say Nikes. But anyway, so if so he's running it, like he was just spawning in attack helicopters, where I was just like,
it's awesome.
We're at the attack helicopter stage. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I remember when like even automatic firearms were like,
dude, I hear you.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just weird. I guess it's so like when 4.0 does come out, what do you think? Like, do we just like a full restart, like a refresh? Because
I think we need a full reset. I think we need to lock down the economy early, right? I think money needs to be hard to come by.
GG fucked that up for everyone. Well, not G. Okay, so let me rephrase. The guy that was hacking the poker table, basically. I think that guy, I don't know him that well. I don't know him as a creator. I don't know anything other than the situation. But I think that particular act almost completely fucked 3.0 by itself.
What was it, like 100 million or something? Maybe 50? I can't remember.
Flooding the economy with cash like that.
What happened specifically that they got all the money? Was it the casino or?
Hold on, I have a perfect quote for this. He had a way to go to the roulette, and it's not that he would always win; he would just never lose.
Yeah.
Oh, some guy got banned for this, right? Wasn't that a thing?
Yeah.
He got permanently banned.
That guy. Did he like have an insight on how to do it? Is that what happened? Did he like know something other people didn't know?
Something like that. It was.
Imagine.
I don't know the actual technicalities.
Can anybody tell me what it was? Just ask.
I don't know what I don't think the exploit ever came out.
Not that I would ever use it, but
no. I think essentially was that he likely had some interaction with the table that he might have a way to like lever himself off the table before a loss would fully realize, if you know what I mean.
Oh, okay.
That would be my guess. But again, this is a fundamental, in my opinion, it's the tearing at the carpet aspect of RP and mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
Is when a mechanic comes in, people want to strip it down to its bare essentials, understand it fully so they can exploit it for the maximum gain without character consideration. So that comes back to the competitive nature of the server. I think people want to get ahead of stuff. They want the newest thing. They want to fully know the heists.
If you're 100 millionaire, everybody wants to hang out with you.
And that's because you're driven by the content drive. Is you need to be the first person in because that will get you the most view. And that's down a path that's not related to RP. So I would like, as far as the mechanics of like the taking the money out and putting $100 million or however much it was into the economy, that is ruinous. It's because it doesn't travel fully. It only stays within a close network of people that pass it along only to each other. So everybody gets supercars, everybody gets properties, guns, fines don't matter. You can do everything you want, jobs, everything, and that money spreads out slowly. So then now everybody's got a large piece of that pie, and there's $100 million that are flowing around this portion of the server that didn't exist before. So everything, the timeline increases rapidly. S+ cars are virulent on the streets to the point where now you have to start making balance decisions around fines, around times, around these other things.
Yeah, when 4 people had an S+ car,
right?
When 4 people had an S+ car, you didn't need to balance the game, the mechanics around S+ cars. It was like, oh shit, this is an S. It was the Young Dab has the AK scenario all over again, right? It was, oh shit, this guy has a super S turbo.
Yeah.
Now, when every gangster is doing D-class boosts with their triple S-class cars, that can go underwater and shoot rockets, it's like, okay, of course we have to do something.
So then the pendulum starts swinging. Time and fines go way up to try and negate all these super rich guys doing crimes, which means all the little criminals who have, they are all fucked. And like not instantaneously, but whatever, like they might take a couple of hits, be like, oh geez, guys, these fines are crazy. Like maybe it gives you a little bit of a bump in like the seriousness initially. But then you realize that you must do crime in order to participate in the economy. So the risk and reward factor goes up, the stress goes up. Maybe your character isn't focused on being the guy. Maybe you just want to be a guy. And a guy has a really hard time existing now because of all the things that have come in to try and negate something that somebody did. That is, it's an economy problem. It ripples and it fucks the server up. And it ruins the role play, and then it becomes about the creators rather than this one guy who has affected this server so drastically that we essentially need to wipe it.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that's why the money problem happened. I didn't realize that. How do you guys feel about proportional fines? Right. So instead of finding a dollar amount, you find like a % dollar amount, right? Like
it comes back to consequences.
That increases consequences pretty drastically, right? I mean, it's blanket across. Everybody's going to lose 1%. Hey, you were speeding, you lose 0.5% of your total wealth, right?
I don't think it's a fines issue. I don't think it can be a fines thing. I don't know.
No?
12%, like that's what Finland does, by the way, for their speeding tickets. I think it works kind of well. They judge your wealth or something like that, and then adjudicate your fine based on that. If you're speeding in a Lambo, you're getting like a $10,000 speeding ticket.
Yeah, I mean, and you can afford. The thing is, in the real world, if a crime only has a fine, then it is a consequence for people without money, right?
I don't think RP consequences around crime are ever going to have an impact, like a true the desired impact. Like unless you are RPing being afraid of jail, really jail is I think just a inconvenience.
Yeah, I was going to use the same word.
So I guess this is like if they knew they would have done it already. But the question is, how do you make a prolific gang like Hydra or CG? How do you make them afraid of taking losses? How do you make them feel the impact?
I don't think you can. I don't think that making anybody feel anything is possible. I think that like when I came into NoPixel first, my best experiences were around just learning the city. So just like knowing getting to meet people that are like Sun Moon, the tow driver union guy. Just
I miss Sun Moon, dude.
He
like
defrauded the union, by the way. He took all the money.
I had to learn one conversation at a time just what kind of time commitment you need to make when you talk with Red Harrington. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of RP that I think, people look at Red Harrington as an inconvenience sometimes. He's a chatty guy who will talk you to death about mundane stuff, about like his day. And I fucking love that character because
he's actually Satan.
Yeah,
his character is actually Satan.
What's his stream? Oleth the Red, dude. This guy is one of the most. He probably has one of the highest stream times in NoPixel. By the way, this guy is on constantly to exactly 1 to 3 viewers.
I mean, that is the in my opinion that's the type of stuff that I think that there was a lot of that type of. I can't believe I've never seen Kiki Chanel at her own store. You know what I mean? Like it's There's a lot of things that I think that the server has lost that I hope it can get back. I think that it's just I truly feel for managing a server like this with the stakes that are involved. Oh my God, the pressure.
Especially when, and there's we actually talked about this a long time ago when it came down to like speaking about what happened. Say if you got banned or something like that, and you're not really allowed to talk about what happened. And it was all about like protecting the people involved, because unfortunately for us, we're on this community with literally thousands of people. Like some of the people with these huge communities, they have 40, 50, 100,000 followers, and all of them are roleplay viewers, right? We've got Penta 10,000 viewers at a time. We have,
Enterprise.
Even look at like Jenny and all these other guys with over 1,000 viewers every time that they stream.
Yeah,
that's 1,000 people that could be sent to like attack someone if something were to come out about a person. Oh, so and so admin was the one who punished me, or so and so was the one who reported me. Right?
I did that. That's why I did that to somebody once. I'll freely admit that.
About it.
Yeah, I talked about. I got banned one time. And it was because I talked about a ticket, and I took it personally. I took a situation personally, and then just like vented about it open. And it was completely irresponsible to do that. Completely irresponsible, because not only was I taking a role play scenario personally, because it was serious. To me it was serious, and it was I got I don't want to get too into it again because I don't know the other party's thoughts on it, but. I have tremendous regret about it, because you don't understand the impact that your opinions have on someone who's probably already stressed about they're just trying to make the server better, like these player reports and stuff like that. It was the hardest thing to understand, is that the social implications of making a player report now are likely the reason why a lot of stuff doesn't get reported. It's too scary. There's too much pressure.
Apparently they're finally anonymous now. The name's not just posted on the forums.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. It sucks because there's a lot of pressure around the audience stuff. And to talk about what Troms was just mentioning, these are now all individual livelihoods that really rely on this hub that doesn't necessarily get because it's Coil's business that he's obligated to run to the best of his ability, because he's got staff and people that depend on him. And not only that, but you have every creator, even on this channel right now, that in some way relies upon NoPixel to exist and continue to function. Yet we all just have this desire for it to be as good as possible. Mm-hmm. But the burden of balance comes across so many personalities in and out of character. It's a big situation to deal with. And I guess to release the pressure on the somber idea is that so many people have benefited. And imagine a situation, with the fans where in Game of Thrones, it's basically like a TV show where the actors can all hear the things that are being screamed at the TV. Just imagine Jon Snow is Jon Snow rocks in to enforce the rules of the Night's Watch, and all you hear is behind him is cringe. Cringe,
Kill him,
cringe,
Pussy,
cringe
kill him.
bastard, cringe bastard.
I'm hopping.
Oh yeah, he was dead and now he can just be back. What is he, a zombie? What is that? You know, what is that? Is that allowed? You know,
Can't believe you forced permit my queen.
I can't. You know what I mean? So now you have all these people who have come into like, I'm gonna make a character. I'm gonna do this, and they're like, look over, like, what do you guys think of my character? He's kind of antagonistic. His name's Carmine. He's a big asshole. He's like, fuck you, pussy. You piece of shit. Like, you know, it's just all this other.
You know what's crazy about that? I don't get any of that.
You don't get hate. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
People
don't
love
get hate at all.
Carmine.
Yeah,
They
it's
absolutely
because you're
love you.
genuine. It's because he's a genuine character. There is no. He doesn't want to be. He does like he thinks he can be the guy. Maybe I don't really. You know the character better than I do. But like he maybe he thinks he can be the guy, but it's clear that he can't, and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
what's
you know,
funny
Perfect
is when
example of
when he
being a
does
guy who
become
he
the
loves
guy.
to hate.
Yeah. Exactly, and it's the point where now it's people want to get Carmine gets this. It is the magic of having a perfect character that is like exactly the right time and the right place for what people need, because there's so many people, and that's why I made George the cop, because instead I want to be the opposite. I don't want to drive. I don't want to shoot. George has never done a fucking report and probably never will. And it's like. You know what? It's like I will just be like, does that guy work here? Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's been here for 40 years. What's his name? It's
Like
very
the two
fun to be
old
that
cops from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I can't remember the
Yeah,
name.
just-
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I think of the two, like the guys from when they're, again, it's the Wire reference, when they're down in the basement, like the two drunk guys that just come in obviously drunk every day and don't do a lick of police work.
Yeah.
That's that's the end game, because being promoted, and getting certified and all this other stuff is it's fleeting. It's fleeting because it doesn't really, I can drive a race car to catch the criminal that is gonna call me a piece of shit for like an hour in the cells. You know what I mean?
That's
Dude.
one thing I came to a realization of. People see roleplay ranks and shit as goalposts or objectives
Gates.
to get, and once they
Gates.
get it, once they get it, they realize that it's just a husk. It's just a title that's got no meaning unless you give it meaning. It's a point like HVTU. You can join HVTU, and it'll do absolutely nothing. You just be an extra title on your shoulder.
Cert collection.
But if you join HVTU and you play the role and you generate roleplay using that, now it has meaning as substance. And I see that a lot in PD. There's a lot of people that I have these titles and these ranks. They don't do much with it, so they feel burnt out, and then they just stop playing. You gotta. So when you're handed something, this is not gonna have substance until you put substance in it.
Yeah,
is how I see it.
Can I make a shout out actually for somebody that is like the total opposite of what you were talking about? Like you arrest a racer and they get mad at you for an hour. Is custom abilities. He plays Pete Richards, aka Pete Griffin, on the server. Looks like Peter Griffin.
I thought that was
Family Guy.
Kermodo for the longest time. I thought that was Kermodo's criminal.
Dude, I have played with this guy on my Crim Stanky Leg and on my Cop John Hydra, and every time I interact with this guy, dude, it's always fun. This guy is actually out here role
He's a
playing
good
and
guy.
having fun. I'm not gonna say he doesn't chase W's, because he does, right? But he's got like these. There's like memes, it's like, oh, are you chasing Pete? Yeah, just get your Explorer out. Like he's going to the mountains.
Yeah, man. Every time I see him on Paulie, he's like, "Hey, Paulie!" Like every time, and I'm just like, "Hey, Pete, how you doing, pal? Good to see you, man. Hey, how are you doing?" Like all this other stuff, and it's just I really like those guys are sprinkled around. Like you only really
you play Paulie, of course, dude. How did I not know?
You didn't know I played Paul Costello?
No.
Oh my man, what have you been doing with your life?
Dude, that's
have you
so
been
funny,
have you been to twitch.tv/WTFMoses recently?
No, I thought you were a Facebook streamer.
Whoa,
man.
twitch.tv/WTFMoses?
Hey, it's a live read, I call it. I just take over, start talking about myself like I've been doing the whole
I
podcast.
have something to say about that, actually. This WTF Moses guy, if you guys didn't know, is our guest on the show today, and I want to know more about him.
Okay.
So we're going to segue into the next section of this podcast. Perfect.
Dude, our boy just came in hot. He had opinions.
That's right. We want to know more about
I'm
you.
Really
Yeah,
engaged
man.
in this
Tell us a little about
So-
you.
podcast.
We on the podcast, we always ask everybody these same questions because it feels like it's a good kickstart for RP and like what got you started and all that. So we want to know how, first of all, did you get started? I think you briefly touched on this already. What was the application process like for you? Like, who did you apply with? And most importantly, how many applications did it take for you to get into NoPixel? The ultimate question.
Well, you see, I'm a bit of an auteur. I have many skills. Well, you see, I first formulated my opinion back in the year of our Lord 2017, I believe it was. This was back before I think I applied to NoPixel like in the first boom, like the first I think Lyric. Lyric and Summit had just started playing on the server, and like they, or not just because I know Lyric had been there for quite I don't remember. It was like early to mid 2.0, and I just applied. I took it seriously. I got in on the first shot. I think I applied with a self-insert character. I think his name was Derek something, since I clearly can't think of any other names. So I think I had some like a very, very different person back then. But I had I'm going to make a really long and complicated Danish name like Dannenborgen, and it'll be hilarious when I try and spell it to people when I get parking tickets. That was my character, and it was just like, and it was about as exciting as the description was. I was a, oh, hey, how are you? Yeah, I'm a my name's Derek. I tow trucks. This is what I do. Drive tow trucks. Yeah. Anyway, I was just really like not confident. I had no business being on NoPixel, basically. Like you imagine like a first day guy, never roleplay before, walking up to like Spaceboy or Mel, I guess it would be, or something like that. And just the waves of energy that you would get from people, I'd be like, I ain't fucking ready for prime time. I'll be like, I gotta go do something else. So then I went back to playing like PUBG or stuff that I had been doing. I was doing casting and stuff like that. So I shelved it. And then eventually it was just doing open servers. And then I played on a server called Our Manufacturers with a guy named Dondi. I'm not sure if there's too many people who speak the name Dondi around NoPixel anymore, but I don't remember his characters. But he was a very intense guy, and he ran this server basically as a, he wanted to reboot Serious RP as he felt that he wasn't getting it or whatever. He started the server.
Arthur Hammond, right?
Arthur Hammond, exactly. Yes. So he was apparently quite a pivotal character on NoPixel for quite some time. Very intelligent dude. Starts his own server. Dondi, if you don't know, he made the Isle. It's a dinosaur game, quite successful. So he had a lot of resources. He put this server together, and it was popular for a time. It was my first experience with Serious RP. I played Smooth Williams on that server. I ran GSF on that server. I was a gang leader, so it was my first like addictive kind of like I have people that are responsible for me. It scratched an itch that I couldn't really describe. So I really fell in love with it, and I ended up perming that character because that's what I thought was like the cadence of characters. Like you would tell a complete story, and then there would be an ending. So Smooth started as just a know nothing criminal because I never played a criminal character. Eventually leads a gang, and then turns government witness for a bunch of money from one of Dondi's characters, because it was, I didn't realize it at the time, but he's facilitating this big arc. But what I didn't realize is I was playing his arc and not mine. So at the end of this thing, Smooth Williams dies, and I didn't realize it at the time, but it completely killed my stream. Like completely killed it. Because I didn't realize, because I thought that all the viewers would just be like, "Oh yeah."
Or you thought they were?
Of course.
You thought they were WTF? You thought they were WTF Moses viewers? No, they were.
Yeah. Well, this was on a new platform on Facebook, right? Because I had just gone to Facebook, so I had built this whole viewership on this one character, and I killed him arbitrarily. Like not even because I had to, just because I thought that was a good time to do it. Because he had turned government's witness. The guys that in his gang were starting to find out, and someone fucking killed him. That's the story that happens. That's the thing that happens.
That's a great thing to read about. Terrible thing to build a stream around.
Yeah, I know. So I kill this character, and then all of a sudden I'm like, all right, guys, time to spin up a cop character. The complete opposite of what I've been doing for a year. And everyone's just like, no. And that was that. So I started over with Mcnulty, and that was like, when you're making flat rate, which luckily, when you go to Facebook and that's your situation, you don't really care that much about because you get to do things for your own right. And that's why I loved so much about RP early on, was just like exploring the character arcs, and like killing characters is something that I kind of like doing now. It gives you a forced fresh start, but that's as an RP enjoyer. As an audience, killing Mcnulty, did it again, same shit.
I killed Mcnulty.
Although I have to say, A, I've got a bone to pick with you, young man, and B, God, I love George. I love your new cop.
So good.
The thing that I'm mad about,
He invented eating ass.
the thing that I'm mad about is that there's now somebody on the server who's more Southern than John Hydra, and it makes me mad. He's so Southern, dude. Your accent's so good. You sound like an old Western. John Hydra sounds like a guy who grew up in West Texas in like from 1990 to 2022. You sound like somebody from a fucking spaghetti Western, and it's awesome.
He's my dad. You just gotta get out there, and you just gotta, talk to some people, you can make it happen. You just gotta, what we did initially is, when we bought our first home, it was only $11, our first home, and we had to start small. We bought our first house. Me and Cecilia. We only made $42 a year back then. And it was enough to start a family, and I had 17 kids with that. So
3 months of work to afford his house. It was tough times.
So all you got to do, son, is if you want to have success, is you got to go and get yourself a house, go to college, get yourself a job. Fire and forget. You'll be retired by the time you're 50, no problem. What's that? How much your house is now? Oh, that seems a little bit too expensive.
$900,000 for a one bedroom, one bath.
You just got to buy low, sell high. That's all you got to do, son. That's all you got to do.
We had a situation where you and I were like dealing with like a Gladys chaos situation, and it just happened to be, for some reason, only you and I showed up to it. I was on John Hydra, and then Vigors on Jaeger starts like trying to lockpick my car, and so I don't just like let him, but I also don't just like slap him in cuffs, take him to jail. I like started the arrest process, and then I was like, okay, there's another cop here who's like, I didn't know who you were yet, and after like 30 seconds of talk, I was like, okay, we can have fun with this. So I pulled him to the side, and we started just like interviewing Jaeger together. And after 2 or 3 minutes, 4 people had rolled up and surrounded us, and were like, just say the word, Jaeger, just say the word. And so we're like dancing on this precarious edge of like, if Jaeger stops liking this roleplay, we're dead. And so we ended up just letting him go, and it was just really good time. And as Jaeger is leaving, he goes, you know what? I don't say this very often, but you two made it on the cops I like list. And to me, that was just like okay, dude, I got to roleplay with this guy more, because we like bounced off each other super well. We were just reading the room, having a good time. It was really fun. It was good. I really liked it.
The reason I made like George, and I don't know if you guys go in like a row. Like I'm used to like people going in turns, and I feel like we haven't let Chains talk at all.
No, Chains doesn't talk.
No. I have my moments.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So you bust in. Carmine is the chattiest mother. Well, Carmine won't shut the fuck up, and you're in here just mute.
So
what are you doing? Are you playing like
That's how you know I'm playing
Wordle or
character.
something? Okay.
The community gets mad at us. They're like, why aren't you guys letting Chains talk?
Yeah. We like begged before the show. We're like, Chains, please, could you just ask a couple of questions, man? And he's like, yeah. Don't worry about it. I'll ask something.
Yeah.
Oh man, I talk over him more than I want to. I'm sorry, Chains. I love you.
Oh,
buddy.
I'm a walking monologue half the time. So
why don't you ask him a question?
Yeah, hit me with a question.
I need a question.
Actually,
Okay,
you know what?
When you have something to
I'll
say, you
find my
bust in.
moment.
Okay. All right. Good. George, I made as a foil to I truly when I made him, I was like, I want to have a cop that is so like it should be dead. Like I made his birth date is 1949. I'm not sure if you guys know that, but is because someone was they're like 1949 and I was talking about going to Nam. I was like, yeah, I was serving in Da Nang Valley, 1969. They're like, how old? 1969? How old were you? I was like, I was 20. Like that was normal back then. And they're like, wait, how old are you? Coming to the realization that like in character he's 73 years old. Like he's got no business being, he's way too old. So like the whole idea was to just be like a folksy. Like a great example of it was I don't have a clip, but I really enjoyed this interaction was Kylie. So Angel. Angel's down in the parkade. I don't know her at all. I barely know any cops because I'm not really RPing a ton right now. But so George hasn't really like grown as a character with relationships wise. So Angel's down and talking about, they had just announced the chief of police elections results, and she was not even on the graphic. Like, she didn't appear on the graphic. She didn't appear anywhere. It wasn't mentioned, and so she was down there basically concerned about her future, and George was listening to her talk about, how she doesn't know what her place is, or, I don't want to ad lib too hard. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but essentially the vibe was she didn't feel like it didn't feel like she had value and didn't know what to do with herself. So I was like, you know what? How many times people will use this scenario to either make it about themselves, make it about, to make revenge, or to like make it a point of contention. But what I like to do is just kind of come into people who are in a moment in role play where they don't judge, where they're judging themselves or down on themselves, which happens all the time on Cop, and be like, all you gotta do is just, take a look at what you're doing. You got a lot of people who are there with you. You got skills, you got style. Look at this car. She had standing next to her Corvette. Look at this thing. You got this little anime girl on the side of your car here. I don't know what this means, but you got to have confidence to drive it, don't you? So if you got confidence, you got style, you got skill, what do you got? You got people here caring for you. You're going to be fine. Just believe in yourself. And that was it. And then afterwards, he was like, man, that was low key motivating. Like, I'm really happy that, like, who is this guy who said like, this is George, whatever. And then I just walked away. It's fun to do that because, you have real moments with people that aren't around consequences, car chases, gunfights, whatever. You get to have a real conversation. That's the number one. That's the reason I role play.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's silly too.
I have moments where like I get in a certain headspace, where I value like pings and shit, like just that FPS in me. I want to get in shootouts and driving. Those moments they feel like dessert, right? Where you have a nice meal, it's nice then, and then you're over it in a minute or two. But the dialogue role play that builds on itself, that's like the full course meal, like the girthy steak. That's some good shit, but you gotta work for it.
Yeah,
and it doesn't happen every day.
Yeah.
Sometimes you trip on it. Sometimes you like go. It's the law of diminishing return. It's like donut. Like the ping chasing. Like I love like because shift 2. Mcnulty, like 6 or 8 months ago was like prime, like fully, like there was no, like the class 2s were not as prevalent as they got, but they were like, it was like insane little soul. Like it was back when PD still thought that they could manage little soul, and Bass, bless his soul, was, trying to, do his Bass stuff and like keep everything afloat. And it was just like, it's like donuts. Anyone ever order themselves a dozen donuts? Let's agree and let's say we all did it at least one time. You have one donut, that's the greatest donut you've ever had in your goddamn life. That's the best donut you've ever had. That second donut, pretty good. I like donuts. I'm gonna have 2 donuts. 3 donuts. Okay, you know what? Maybe 3 donuts is a little. By the 4th donut, you're like, I fucking hate donuts. I don't want to do this anymore. And that was kind of what it became. I think what happened to a lot of cops over the last year, and even criminals too. Like how many bank jobs are you gonna do? How many vaults? How many, long-term prison sentences, big court cases, busts, whatever, even if you're successful like that, I think that's why the mechanic stuff has become so prevalent, is because you got to keep the people, like it's a business. Like they are truly running like it's like they call it MMO pixel, like it's a joke. You think people can just whip up an MMO on a weekend? No, they fucking can't. It's taking years to get here. It's unfortunate that there's been some sacrifices, but but yeah, man. Anyway, to stay on the character stuff, it's George and like all my characters now. I want them to be true characters, like that have like Paulie. I fucking love playing Paulie because he's got limits. He's got limits, and he's got essentially, he's got shortcomings. He's addicted to pills. He can't stop taking fucking oxys. He's trying to deal as much as he can, but he's popping them. And he makes no, he's got no, it's he won't do anything to his brother. He won't do anything like that, and he's definitely not a cop. And that's it, and everything else, he doesn't need to be the guy. He just wants to be a whatever.
Can I bring up Paulie? I congratulate you for trying to play a criminal. Like imagine you're playing WoW and you're in a lobby with level 60s, fully geared out, and you're just a criminal who just got in, just getting in a raid as a level 1.
Yeah,
Work
true.
your way up. And people already got their in groups, and your only in group is everybody's enemy.
Oh, it sucks, man. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. It's because you put the onus on your closest connections to lean on for RP, and that is it's selfish in a way because you need to have like a wide base of connections because you're not you're not going to be in the server every day. You're doing your own thing. You got your own character stuff. The toughest part with Pauly, I guess, is the no one knows who you are, and thusly there's no desire or there's no need because there's 100 people who will bend over backwards just to get a second look. So if it's doing whatever they say, groveling to whoever just to get a second look in RP because that's what you need to do. You need to be Johnny passenger seat to get any level of traction. And it's got to, because you're basing all your interactions on the approval of other people around you. And that's, depending on what you drive for, satisfaction. I don't know what you get satisfaction wise if you're not leading a gang, running a mechanic, big time racer, big time shooter, somebody's buddy, or a large creator. It sucks.
Yeah,
it's hard. Yeah. Hey, speaking of, go ahead, 52.
No worries. I was just gonna add on to that. I played Carmine as a civilian for 8 months around a mechanic
and you streamed 6 times.
6 times, yeah, because the interactions were so fucking bad. They were so bad. It was basically like because most of people when you go to the casino people go there to vent, right? Like they're done with roleplay. They just want to go there.
They're breaking from roleplay.
Yeah. I had one person say, "I'm not in the mood." They came to the casino. I was being my character.
You think I give a fuck what mood you're in?
I did that. You know what they did?
Shot you in the face?
Someone. 3 guys with AKs came in and they ocean dumped me. And I didn't play for a week after that.
It breaks you, dude. And you know what? It sucks because you sometimes because you get you're not overlooked, and it's more so like characters are used because characters have restrictions, characters have shortcomings, they get used as props for other people. So it's it'll be like for instance for Pauly right now, I haven't been on the server in weeks, or at least as Pauly, maybe it's been a couple of weeks, but people come into my chat telling me that CG is looking for Pauly or for something for revenge, or someone's looking for Pauly for revenge or something like that. And this is not any indictment of any type of role play. This is more so just the nature of what it sometimes feels like to be used as a prop for other people's role play. When we did the thing with Kyle, we went up to the dock there and Kyle threw me off the dock. It was objectively funny, hilarious.
Really funny.
However, as the counterpart to that, so I want to continue that role play because my opinion is that okay, awesome, hilarious. But I want to continue that role play. And essentially the wall you hit is that this is a powerful person or a powerful group of individuals that cannot be assailed in any way. And thusly your recourse is to deal with it. Okay. Again, Pauly is a character. So what do I do with that in character? Pauly, a fucking meathead. I'm roided out. My brother's a cop. I'm going to call my brother. We're going to get to the bottom of this together. Him and I. And we're going to go to the very top. We're going to topple the whole thing. He's a moron. He doesn't understand what's going to happen. But the idea is that I know truly that the recourse is nothing. Nothing will come of it.
Yeah.
So eventually...
You still have to play the character.
Yeah, so the character will continue to exist. I love the character. It's fun to play. There's times where it really sings. But most of the time, you just kind of get... it's just whatever is funniest in the moment. Or, it's kind of like the all these guys in a room trying to one up themselves with jokes. Like, what's the most ridiculous thing we can do right now so that we can? It's just, I don't know. You kind of kick the interaction to its closest conclusion.
And it always ends with a gun and you.
Yep. Someone's getting shot, ocean dumped, whatever.
So I've got a little good news in that I'm going to make an announcement here live on Yespixel number 19.
Whoa!
Starting a new.
Hold on, get the announcement music.
Go ahead. Starting a new character that was inspired by some random fucking roleplay I did on Stanky Leg, partly inspired by you, Moses, and ultimately inspired by 52 Chains. I'm making a Costello, and I'm inviting other people. Anybody can do it, can make a Costello, and we have a goal, and our goal is to get our fucking brother out of the fucking police force because it's a fucking embarrassment. Okay? First point of order. Second point of order. If you see a little man, you'll deal with it on site. Okay? That's what I'm talking about.
Paulie hates the Cubans.
Paulie's the Cubans? Fuck them. Get them out of here. I don't want to. So my Costello is Christmas Costello. I don't know why. It's just the name I came up with.
There's a fun ped that I saw. I was thinking when I was making the character, I was either gonna do because I was thinking old timey character, because there's one Carmine model that's got a mustache.
That's the one. That's the one I am. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was what I was gonna try and steal some suits from that guy, but I don't think I'll be able to get a custom ped anytime soon.
No. But so as long as you have the Carmine face in your Costello, that's great. We're gonna put it. I'm basically copying the Littlemans, right?
Good.
They all look like Carmine. They all talk with the stupid, hey, you fucking, hey, you know what I'm saying, Joe Pesci, eh? You know, that. Do your best. And I, for a while, I've wanted to give like a foil to, like a specific, like consistent foil to the Littleman. Right. You know, I love the idea of the Littleman doing an RP.
They do need a foil. They've really grown too big for their own britches.
Imagine the Littlemen are doing an RP hungry. Bank robbery. You know, Slash Me is robbing the bank, and we do a
ruin it.
Slash Me is pretending to be police, all dressed in like suits and ties. Hey, it's the fucking police department.
Well,
hey, we're fucking coming in there, and then we RP take all the money that you RP stole. And, you know, like RP break your knees and then RP run away. It's going to be so fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
That gives me
you
an
think
idea.
It's going to be fun, but we're going to go totally out of character on you. You guys are getting ocean dumped. I'm going to report
Kind of weird, dude. Kind of weird. Slash meing. Okay. All right. I mean,
I'll do it.
Cringe.
It's too late. It's already been done.
And you guys know I will power game.
I want to hear 52's idea.
What is it?
So my character, the pet I play, has already got a custom model, and if you guys do that, and I do commission more outfits and shit, I could make more outfits with tweaks to it, and you guys can all use it.
So that's so sick.
Tell you what, that's
an admin or anything.
I just wanted to get the jacked and tan, like where the hands don't match on. That's the only thing I want to change. Like I just wanted my arm tan to match my hand tan.
The streaks of like the tanning oil.
Yeah, because all you can see is like his neck is like completely white, and then you see all these tan arms. So I was like, I'm jacked and tan. I went down to the tanning booth. I had to pay 50%. I didn't have enough money.
I ran out of money. They pay you they make you charge by the second. Can you believe it?
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, you were talking about like sometimes you run out of things to do on Poly, or it's kind of like you only do so much. If there's 5 or 6 trusted Costellos running around doing dumb shit, you know, just getting into it. And the thing is Costellos are fucking stupid. That's like the number one defining trait is Costellos are dumb as dirt, right? This is canonical from Carmine. Carmine's dumb as shit. And I don't mean like in an insulting way. I mean, they behave in ways that are like not conducive to like good planning or good health, right?
Yeah, I think it's egotism in a way.
Yeah, they're super self-centered, right? They think that their dumb, unthought out plan will work because of course it would work. Why wouldn't it work Costellos?
Yeah, I think the whole idea behind like the family stuff. I don't know. I think that the draw that I had essentially when I made that character was just to trying to get, you know, not in trouble, but have to explain why his brother's getting arrested, dealing drugs, you know, selling oxy, you know, getting caught with guns. But the unfortunate aspect that I came across early was that, you know, if you even have a single conversation, you know, if you have just one conversation with anybody in character with another cop, the virulent nature in which that information spreads. So the biggest issue I had with Paulie, just basics, and this is unfortunate with the mechanic stuff, is like it got out in roleplay that he was a cop. That everyone decided that he was a cop, and literally overnight, it was like a flare went up, and everybody stopped talking to me immediately.
They thought Paulie was a cop, just because people said Paulie was a cop. So
no, because I would have conversations with Carmine on the side of the road. Like I would, you know, call him up and be like, I'm going to call my brother. I'm going to call him up and have a conversation. But that's just so that is the you know the overarching, you know, meta is that You don't talk to cops. You just do not talk to them.
This is
ridiculous.
What was the character? There's a whole case law around it now. There was a character that got like he was talking to cops, and then overnight he was blacklisted.
The Wrangler regulation, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you not an You don't fucking know. This is why you're still a cadet, John. You don't know your goddamn case laws, John. How long have you been a cadet for, John? How long have you been a cadet for?
You think Kyle knows case laws?
I haven't. God, what was that fucking guy's name? I can't remember. Anyway, basically,
the Wrangler decree is what you're referring to.
Yeah. Well, I said that. I said the Wrangler decree.
Okay, just checking.
But yeah,
do you even know your SOPs? What kind of criminal would you be?
Dude, I'm gonna come over your
house. The criminals know the SOPs better than you do.
I'm gonna come to your house and kiss you on the
lips. You know, if the criminals are telling you the case laws in the cells, you know you got to stay a cadet. You know
what I learned. Sorry to cut you off, but I learned the best people's rights to violate are people have cult ops. Like their main is cops.
Yeah.
They play criminals. You violate their rights and they know you're fucking up.
Yeah.
You double down.
Yeah.
They get so mad and they know they can't do anything because it's so
yeah,
funny.
Dude. Yeah. It's yeah.
You're sick, man. You're absolutely sick.
I did it too. I think Hardcastle's crim. There's a lot of cop mains who have HOA characters and racers.
Yeah.
I hone. If I see him, I hone him. And if I ever see you guys on your crims. Oh,
it's fun.
No, wait a second. Wrangler decree is you fucked up. Actually, do you know your SOPs? Wrangler decree.
Oh, he looked it up. He's getting the receipts.
Wrangler decree is the Georgina Williams, aka Win song. That's when a cop's undercover. That people aren't afforded their Miranda rights.
Oh, I thought that's what I was thought you were talking about. Is talking to cops.
You're thinking about what's his name's Golden Rule. That's the one, and it's Gunther Clean.
I don't think I know that one.
Yeah. So Gunther Clean was a character, like he was like big into roleplay with the I can't remember what their actual gang names. There was the CMC, the people called them the Condensed Milk Club. They were a motorcycle club. Condemned, yeah.
Oh yeah.
They were all in Polito.
In Polito, yeah.
And Gunther, I guess, was like doing some stuff with them, and he ended up starting talking to a cop, and magically overnight everybody knew that he'd turned evidence to Wrangler. And this was literally nobody roleplayed telling anybody. Nobody, dude. I would have got.
Yeah, that was the number one thing that was the word. They just stopped. It's not that they roleplayed knowing that you're a cop. It's that they just stopped talking to you. Yeah, they just completely stopped talking to you because their concern is losses.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, like they're concerned. Like I think that a lot of it stems from the like the big bust that happened to Mortel, and I think the big bust that happened to maybe Roll Mafia. I can't remember who it was. But I know Mortel had their gang stash like completely wiped or something like that based on an arrest that happened that I was involved in on Mcnulty, and a lot of it I think essentially it was like there was some discussion in the cells about the raid and whatnot, and as soon as the word got out about how it went down, the gang kind of just decided that was it. So it there's the fear of loss. Cash and item loss for a lot of criminals is the same as a perma. It happens all the time with cops where guys will put out drug trafficking cases and the character's just perma, because it's much easier to re-roll and start again. Of course, knowing all the mechanics and stuff. And it's again, this is where you can become critical of the the economy nature of the server, which is Mm-hmm. I have, you bring something into the server and you can either exchange it for roleplay. Most times it's viewers. If you're bringing something into the server, you can exchange that for roleplay, essentially, like either a mechanic or
I love that's access. A really great way to put it. If you're bringing 10,000 new viewers into the server, you can trade that for getting to hang out with the more popular gangs and getting to do the stuff and the things.
The exchange is much better coming into the server with that currency but you can generate. I think Karma Chain is a great example of what you can generate RP and then cash it out into the other direction if you do it for long enough. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I don't think it worked. It worked that way for me. I got the viewers from the RP.
Right.
But the viewers now are giving me more RP because back when I didn't stream, the interactions it used to go one way.
Right.
I used to give roleplay. 9 times out of 10, I'd either get nothing back or I'd get turned into a prop.
Yeah.
Even like my first days as a cop as well. Now though, people go out of their way not to fuck me over, like rule breaks and stuff. I haven't come across a rule break like 4 months, 5 months, which
Because you don't break the rules yourself. I
Yeah.
think that it is there. This is a kind of an open criticism because it comes to the word, I guess, culture, I suppose. There, shout out to fucking Chief, man. I love Chief. I really do. I think he is one of the funniest people.
Super funny.
It's
unfortunate about the alcoholism.
His whole shtick is essentially that he's not a character. He's a streamer playing a character on the server.
Yeah.
His character is a streamer playing a character on the server. And that is because he is funny. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And people see people who are funny and be like, I can do that. He's getting, that is something that it becomes essentially like an approved behavior. You have enough people doing it, talking out of character and making out of character jokes is just part of the dialogue. I do not get that from Carmine, and I do not get that from many Peter Griffin. There's a lot Wrangler. I think there are plenty of people out there. I don't really, I think, I don't want to name everybody who does and does not do it, because that eventually becomes a management concern. And I suppose that if, based on the compassion I have for management and how hard it is to run the server and their business, if they've deemed that behavior okay, then it's not up to anybody else to criticize it. But I think you see the benefit of the other side, where if you present the other side of it, which is if you take your RP super seriously, even if it's a non-serious character or an L-taking character, that you will get benefits for that, because it's a safe interaction to have. You know what you're going to get from Carmine. You know what you're going to get from Peach. You typically know what you're going to get from Kyle. Wrangler, all these types of things. I think those guys bring a consistency that is either enraging or encouraging or otherwise. But it's the consistency that I think has built their reputations as both role players, which I think they have now been able to translate into tremendous, success. And I see characters like Carmine and Chains, and I expect the same thing from them over time. But, you got to get what you give, I guess. Get what you get.
The hardest part with character traits that are antagonistic or away from the norm is initially you don't have rapport with anyone, right? So some people take certain things as slights because they don't know you, OOC. But once you build that rapport and you have that understanding with people, it becomes easier. But
much easier.
The first hurdle, once you get over that, it usually takes like a month or two, maybe 3 months. But as soon as you get past that hurdle, you just free skating or gliding.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. This is something that I'm interested in. Maybe you've addressed this in the past. How comfortable were you initially with the antagonistic approach? Like that first time where, someone truly, like, I don't know if we're cut from the same cloth, but if I'm in character and I truly upset somebody, I'm loving it. But at the same time, that is without any pressure of viewership or audiences or people that maybe that person you're pissing off has got 15,000, 20,000 people watching.
52 has no shame, and he has no fucks.
I'm just wondering how did you deal with that? Was it a concern? Is it something that were you like insecure about at all? Anything like that?
I've always, all my characters for 4 or 5 years now, I say they're characters, but in all honesty, they all have one trait in common. No matter which one I play, they will always be antagonists. 9 times out of 10, the encounters you'll have with him or her is them talking shit to you or trying to do something to you. I played a character on Wild West RP that was called Slimy. He was a bandit.
Slimy.
Rob you.
Slimy the bandit.
Rob you for $2 if he wanted. Sometimes he'd rob you with a gun with no rounds in it, and he'll tell you he has no rounds in it after he's done robbing.
Yeah.
He feels stupid. So, luckily, the first people I ran into that had audiences on Wild West RP were Ziggy, who's an amazing role player, and Kyle. And if you approach them with antagonist roleplay, they usually take that well. And
especially Kyle.
Well, you get preferential treatment for so long. Anyone who comes and tells you you're a motherfucker is like, that's new and interesting. You know what I mean? Because typically people just want something from you.
One of the first big laughs I ever got on John Hydra was when Andrews was around 5-0. And John Hydra was still PD Toe. and this was like a year and a half more ago, 2 years ago almost. He goes by and he's like, shut up. He was like, John Hydra's like, bye, don't get murdered. And Anto was like, shut up. And he's like, fuck you, you fucking idiot. And he's like, sorry, what's that? I couldn't hear you. Everybody laughing about how small your dick is. And like, he rolls back and we have this big back and forth. And then later, like, people jump into my stream and send me clips of him laughing his ass off out of character.
It's impactful.
Dude, I was like, oh man, this is it. It's so good. Like, I'm doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's impactful. So who was Kyle playing in on Wild West?
Kyle was playing a character called Ren Solo, which is a sellsword, basically Han Solo, but in a Western theme.
Got it.
And one thing I learned really early is if you want to play an antagonist, you have to let the person know that you're willing to take the loss, so nothing is taken. If you talk shit to someone and then you shit on them, and then you walk away, and all they've received is L's on all fronts, they will hate you.
True.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta mix it up a little bit. You gotta give and take. And once I did that a lot on Wild West RP. Like a lot of my robberies usually ended with me robbing the person and then me being dragged back into town by a sheriff or a deputy. The person I robbed saying, "That's him. That's him."
Yeah,
I misread that so much, man.
You changed the way I roleplayed on Wild West.
Yeah, because I met Hydra on Wild West as well. So luckily I was introduced to NoPixel without having to go on NoPixel.
Yeah.
So there's already an audience that knew of my roleplay and the way I roleplayed.
Yeah.
So when I came over to NoPixel, I interacted with a lot of streamers, and there'll be chatters in their chat saying, "Oh, this guy's funny. This guy plays slimy." And
reputation.
Reputation holds a huge amount of weight.
Does Kyle know that you were slimy?
Yeah, he's the one who got me on NoPixel.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Yeah, man. Kyle is I think Kyle he is a he's such an enabler. Like there's never been in a situation. I mean, obviously he's got a lot of stuff to manage, and I think that there's when you're running truly an operation of that size, you can't really truly consider everybody all the time. But I will say that he will not ignore your characters. If you say, like, typically people will in certain levels will just if they don't recognize your voice or recognize you as a person, they don't recognize that you exist, and you can say something and it'll go out into the void. And it's the nature of building rapport, which again, unfortunately, is one of my biggest regrets with killing Mcnulty, is that all that rapport that you build up on doesn't transfer to another cop.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't go, like, people don't, like, I intend not to be recognized, but it is very, even as a new cop, the rapport you have with other cops is all gone as well. So people that I used to have very friendly relationships with, and this is natural in roleplay, which is it is fun, but it kind of feels bad, especially as a new character, is you will walk by people, and unless they specifically know you, you'll get that same treatment from the cops as well. So Chains mentioned it earlier. It's like being a level 1 in a full level 60 lobby. It's not just mechanics. It's not just money. It's also rapport and respect as well. And that type of stuff, if you willfully reset it, you don't get to transfer it unless you're a one voice Andy and people immediately recognize it.
Yeah, if you have 10,000 viewers consistently, or you're a one voice Andy, you don't get it back. If Buddha if he kills his cop tomorrow and then makes a new one, like, people don't care if it's LeBron James or Dwayne Wade, right?
I bet you that's more of an annoyance than anything for a guy like Buddha. I think that there's people who got big. Like, Buddha is an endemic role player. Yeah. He grew up on the server. He's reaping the benefits of time in, and I think that it must be annoying for a guy like that, to an extent, to be so recognizable. Which is why I honestly think why he rolled the character LeBron James. I'm probably reading into this way too much. He's just a basketball fan.
I'm right there with you. I get it.
But at the same time, like, imagine a guy that is channeling the energy that he probably already gets on Buddha into his cop, because everyone's going to know it's Buddha's cop. So why not just make him a famous person and then just catch that energy as it is? Because I mean, my first thing on George was going up to LeBron. I started talking about basketball because I love basketball. So I'm like, Brian, it's not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but two's not so bad. It's not so bad. Miami was a bit of a wash. I think that you probably could have done a little better. Honestly, I started like the sports fan take, and we had a great conversation about it. Whereas, unfortunately for Brick, Brick ran up the back and went straight to it, and fucking Soze yeeted his whitelist for a couple of days or however long it was.
Wait, what happened?
Well, Brick, Brick the character played by Walnut Cast.
Yeah, of course.
Runs up the back ladder on top of the Trooper PD and starts demanding LeBron's autograph, right before the announcement started. And you can hear Soze or Bass if you don't get off this goddamn roof right now, you're gonna regret it or something like that. And he's just well, I just wanted a fucking autograph or something like that. And they fired him on the spot. They took his whitelist away. They took his.
He's oh my God, it's LeBron from Multiverses.
Yeah.
That's the guy from the game.
Yeah, from Multiverses, man. It was so it's I kind of from the character and the Carmine was talking about being antagonistic, and people resonate with characters, and I think the true downside with this, I think CG gets a ton of hate. I missed the rapport I had with Rami, not because he's a big creator, he's big in CG, but we had genuinely good interactions that I opted to just be I would rather see him run for mayor than try and stick him with the charge I know so it was him and Ripley and myself in the office. Basically, Ripley was kind of I think viewers get really hung up on this stuff where they kind of say, you could go for this charge. And Ripley is not the type of guy to tell you what to do, but he'll be yeah, you could probably go for this charge. You can take it to court. I'm sure you can battle it all the way through. But maybe you could also think of it this is an individual who's he's trying to make himself better. It was essentially he's trying to run for mayor. Let's see how this goes. And I was you know what? I think long term this will be a better play than to see how it goes. Because now, as Mcnulty, next time I see Rami, I gotta be man, 230 votes. What a differential. Hey, big fella. Hey, how'd that? It's a fun interaction to have later. Yeah. But I think that those guys, I think they get a lot of hate that I don't think they can, because I don't think they can manage it. I think that we're all suffering from a level of boredom with RP that when those guys have worked themselves into a place of stability and really CG. They invited those guys to go to the music award. Facebook was trying to take them to the music awards and have them go there as Wu Chang and stuff like that. That's awesome. They truly do have this presence in the GTA community that is quite large. So I guess it's hard to manage. I can't imagine what it's like to have the antagonistic style, the insecurity of having those big creators walking around. But really, all they're looking for as well is a Carmine character. They love guys like that because I think it kind of brings them back to their roots a little bit. Kind of before they were just a Mr. K, the most famous person on the server.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, exactly.
I have a bit I do on
die. Who, Mr. K?
I have a bit I do on Stanky Leg with every time I see Rami. And I've been doing this since 2.0 on I transferred it from another character before playing Stinky Leg. But anytime I see Rami, I go, oh my God, Rami, is that you? Can I have your autograph? Just ask Rami for his autograph. And he loves it, dude. He thinks it's so funny. He'll kick your ass in character for it. But that the person and the character are both yes. Perfect.
I've been up and down the gamut with those guys, man. It really is I think that I think to an extent it's they as a creator. I'll speak personally about what I felt when I was on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Is when you take away the competitive nature of Twitch, the desire to continually, at least for me, this is me speaking. I can't project it on other people, but you do have a sense of the greater, your greater perception in the community, in PUBG. For me in PUBG, I was known as the caster, esports guy, and I did tutorial videos. That was my identity.
That's what Miles told me. Yeah. That's how he knew about you.
Exactly. So a lot of people know me as that. PUBG guy. But what I wanted to be seen as was a good player. I wanted to be seen as high level player.
That's hard work.
You know what I mean? So it's you have this who people think you are, and then who you want to be as a person. And then you have the competitive aspect of Twitch. So as a streamer, you're on Twitch, you're technically competing with everybody around you all the time. And that in itself nets a need to network, and the almost, at least for me, to have some level of approval in the community. You take away that approval, that networking stuff on Twitch. Because when I left Twitch, it was essentially like walking into the woods of the internet. I was still streaming. I was still making content and stuff that I was proud of and that I was excited to do. But I was doing it for a significantly smaller audience. And not only that, but the new people that were coming in were completely unfamiliar with what they were watching. They had no idea what GTA roleplay was. They had no idea that people even played video games on stream. I had people coming in like, how do I get this off my email? I don't want to see this no more. I don't get it. And that was constant. So, and then you have like the money aspect and the stability. And then I think and then not only that, so you have, you have stability, you have the ability to do whatever you want. The RP, the desire to be competitive and to like really put out the best content ever diminishes. At least for me, it did. Because I'm getting paid the same no matter what. Like I put my time in, I do my best, but I don't really post extra videos. I'm not really tweeting as much. I'm not, doing esports anymore. I shut it all down because you kind of get a little bit lazy. I did.
Yeah.
And I mean, the more money you get, you just have this inclination that you don't have to try quite as hard. And I think if I were to bring that energy into RP like I did with Mcnulty, I bet you guys could tell when I fucking checked out on that character. I bet you Troms can. I know he can because we rode together all the time. Where it was just like, you know what? I'm just here to get paid, and that because this is what people want to see. So I'm going to show it to them. I'm going to collect my believe it or not, very temporary paycheck, and I'm going to go and I'm just going to phone it in for a bit. And the result of that at the end is that who you were and how you built yourself up is not who you are now. And I think that once it's not just Facebook, I'm talking more about in roleplay, but once the 4.0 comes and they do wipe it down to 0, I would love to see, and I think that's the reason they haven't wiped it now, by the way. If they wipe the server now, the server dies. I think most people would, like, if there's no reason to come back to the server, like a new content or whatever, I think that's why we haven't seen hardcore or anything wiped now. But long story short, guys, I think that CG gets a lot of hate, but I completely understand their position where they're at the top, both professionally and on the server. What do you do to keep yourself entertained when you need to be in the server every day? You test limits in all directions, I think. And that's a burden that I think is hard to understand for many people, unless you've kind of experienced it just a little bit. And for a lot of people, it sounds like a great situation, by the way. It sounds like I'm painting them to be like, oh, it must be really hard. It's probably not, but professional satisfaction is something that once all your other stuff is dealt with, that's all you have left. Like for just professional satisfaction, enjoying what you do every day. I did not have that, and I being personally, as the Steam account stuff is prevalent. That stuff is all temporary, and I would trade it all for just good true like work satisfaction. And I think that's why I'm really excited to eventually get back into roleplay when the time is right.
Yeah, man. I actually while we're talking about you moving to Facebook a little bit, I did some research before because I didn't know you that well. I'd only Troms and 52 both talked you up really good, so I was like, okay, they like this guy. I'm gonna check.
Those are my homies.
And I looked at some of your YouTube videos, dude. You have a really good video on your YouTube. It might be your front page video, but I just went to your like popular videos and I scrolled through until I found some stuff that I thought was like good for today. You have a video called "Beating Beginner's Anxiety" or something like that.
Oh right, yeah.
It's a very good video, and I think anybody.
A Mcnulty tutorial video, or sorry, the Moses tutorial. Video?
No, I think I made that video. A lot of people like myself. I have pretty significant anxiety. So it's a common thing amongst. I think a lot of streamers have. We're all in here playing video games for a reason. If we were all athletes, we'd all be in the NBA, right? Or whatever sport we decided.
Me 100%. I'm 6'2", so
exactly.
I would be in the NBA.
Absolutely. So I think that the reason I made that video was because a lot of people are afraid to get started. Like the burden of actually starting something scary and new is enough to prevent them from ever doing it. Mainly around the fear of failure. So the reason I made that video is because I'm trying to work myself up into being a full-time creator again that fires on all cylinders. That isn't, like Facebook made me tremendously lazy.
Yeah. So one of the quotes you had in there was that when you're doing something, regardless of whether or not other people think it's working, if you feel like it's working for you, what is it? You said, if the way you're practicing works for you, don't sweat what other people think. So like stuff like that, like shows me that you've had a lot of time in content creation, obviously. And you've also thought about like actual ways to succeed. This is not a video selling people on how to become streamers. Right. It's a video of you sharing with people how to be their best version of themselves. Kind of what it feels like.
Well, and that's a noble intention. I don't know if I'm not a mental health professional. I've got no training. I just try to, the simple nature of content creation that we've all, I'm sure, realized is that we are the, shout out to Moosebeard, captains are of our own ship. It's the satisfaction we extract from it early on is typically monetary. Like that is how we measure our success, is whether or not that this thing's viable. Like when I first started, I was a corporate security professional. I used to do like narcotics investigations and stuff like that as a job. All my stuff was like dealing with individuals in the real world. I only ever did YouTube. Like my notion of YouTube was born out of like this. I watched Summit one day. I was watching him play. Maybe it might have been GTA. Who knows? He was my first follow. Like he was the first guy I saw on Twitch, probably like him and Ammunition or something like that when I first went onto Twitch. And I was like, so this guy is just on screen playing games, just kind of being funny and talking about the stuff. I'm like, I could probably do that. Not like I could be that successful, but I could turn the camera on and play games. If you see my first clip on Twitch, it's like a really poorly lit, like I'm much younger, way fitter, no beard, and I'm just dead silent playing Battlefield. Like my mouth is half open, breathing into the mic, just like, how's it going? Like I look over to the side, like I do something cool, and I like look over to the side. I'm like trying to figure out how to clip it, and like you can see me looking back at the camera like this, like did it work? And then like I was clipping myself, so that was my idea. That I could,
some of us still clip ourselves. Okay, you don't gotta make fun of people that do that. Not naming any names.
Well, yeah, no, but fair enough. Like but the point was like I could maybe do that, and the ability to say like I could maybe do that, and then actually starting something is typically where a lot of people will hear things, and this is what I heard, and I still hear to this day, especially now that things are not looking as good as they did a couple of years ago. Is you should quit. And just go get a real job, because it's obvious to me that this, and you'll hear this from people around you. Like, oh, and Shane said it earlier, like he said that streaming is not a consistent career. And I'm here to tell you it's not a consistent career. But I guess the world, rewards us for building our own stuff. And there's a desire for all of us to have our own thing. I'm sure we've all been I've been an employee. I've been a corporate employee. I've been a low rung employee. I've been a shitty employee. I've been a good employee. But the one thing I really don't want to do again is go and be somebody else's employee. So maybe I run this thing into the ground. Maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe not.
So heavily.
You know what I mean? Maybe it doesn't fucking work out, but at least I tried. Because most people will just quit. And we're encouraged to quit constantly. It's too hard. You should quit. You know what? It's not worth it. There's easier ways to do it. Whatever.
And was it the ROI? The ROI is not there. Stop. You could be doing something else. You could be selling cars. You could be.
Yeah. So the beginner's anxiety video was born out of, it was just about talking about playing Tarkov, because people used to watch me play Tarkov and they would say like, oh, I can't even go in the raid. I only play offline mode, because it's a fucking scary game that like has instant permanent consequences, that if you go in and you lose everything, and that's the draw. There's a bit of a tie-in with RP here, is that consequences can be fun if you're okay with it from time to time, because you can't have reward. You can't have the rush of a high without a low. You can't have it, because I can promise you that if you have all wins all the time, all you expect is wins, and at the first sign of trouble, you are not going to be prepared. If you've expected, I wasn't prepared for Facebook to end. Like I knew it was gonna, but at the same time, the gravity of now having to be like, I took my audience, which ones would come with us to Facebook. And then based on the nature of that platform, the audience died. They just one day, just like that. It was
sucks,
all.
man.
I had 1,000+ viewers, and they were gone one day. And then you stay on the platform because you're hoping like, oh no, I like this comfort. I don't want to. I can see the horizon coming, and it looks pretty painful. But I would rather stay here and be comfortable than worry about the future and maybe get ahead of it. So you know, and the ramifications of that, I think, you know, we do this in day-to-day decisions. You know, the things that I want to try, like. You know, a creator had talked to me recently about potentially quitting their job to become a full-time streamer, and they were talking about the notion of and the ramifications of what that might mean. And I said, like, this is what I did. I had a plan. I had some savings. I may have exploited my employer a little bit because they were letting me work from home, and you know, maybe they weren't aware that I was playing 9 hours of video games a day.
The walnut cast technique.
Yeah. So anyway, you know, you. The one thing I will say, and this is not really RP related, but it's, you know, more life related, that, you know, if anything that's worth it is eventually going to be very difficult to achieve. And if you don't even give yourself the ability to fail, you will never do anything. Be okay. Yeah. Failure is so it's constant. Man, I remember the first time I went to a live esports event, I started talking shit about the players that were there because I thought I was Skip Bayless. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, I got people who are obviously stressed out of their fucking minds playing PUBG, one of the shittiest online games you could play at the time, in a LAN environment, one of the first big ones in Ukraine. You know, at Star Ladder. Yeah, dude. Oh man, I should tell you some esports stories, but you know, like we're in Ukraine at Star Ladder in their studio, and these poor Brazilian guys, you know, had been big time streamers. PUBG was huge. You know, they all come to this event. We got TSMs there, LG, all these guys. I'm there casting it. I'm living my life because I think that like everybody here is in the same mindset as me, that we're all here to be able to make this esport. And obviously talk about esports, you got to have a little trash talk in sports, because I come from, you know, a sport. Again, I'm not sure if you've ever mentioned this, but I love basketball. And, you know, all you do is talk shit to each other nonstop in basketball. It's part of the game, depending on who you are, if you're me. So I go on Twitter. And these guys are playing poorly so essentially what had happened is we were just in Oakland, California doing, I was there coaching Evil Genius's PUBG team, and LG had sent Ninja a new mouse because his mouse had been lost and he made a big fuss about it.
I remember this.
Yeah. So anyway, LG was there playing badly, and I was like, well, if LG can send a mouse to Ninja, maybe they can airlift their team out of here or something like that.
Oh, Jesus.
And I know, like, I can't believe I fucking said that.
Fuck, man.
And I said it, I fucking tweeted it out, and they're all in the room with me, basically. They're in the next room. And then, like, players that are at the event are responding to me negatively on Twitter. I'm like, guys, it's just banter. It's just trash talk. Come on. What? So what? You've traveled halfway across the world to a place you don't speak the language and are doing something extremely difficult in front of hundreds of thousands of people. You can't take a little bit of ribbing from a guy who has nothing to do with that. That's how I set my reputation in PUBG esports, as being a complete asshole, and I had to walk my way. And that was, you know, it was all egotism at the time. You know, it was like, you know, I had nothing but W's. So of course I'm wtfmoses. You know, I've got 12,000 YouTube subs. You should take it with a grain of salt, there, big fella.
Yeah.
So
I have another
to jump
question.
back just a tiny bit. Sorry, to what we were just saying about like getting into being a content creator. I was in the very similar mindset when it first happened. I honestly been doing this for far too long. 5-6 years or something like that.
Not long enough, baby. Let's keep it going.
Yeah. It was always a hobby. I was literally making enough to buy one AAA game a month. You know, I could buy the new Assassin's Creed, or I could buy, you know, whatever it was. And that was fine, because it meant that I could work my regular job and I wasn't, you know, dipping into my savings to be able to do my hobby. And on top of that, I was playing games that I would have been playing anyway, right?
Yeah.
And making friends in a community. But there came to a point where I was so fed up with my job. I was like, I can't stand this anymore. They're not giving me what I'm deserved. I'm not challenged in any way.
Yep.
And it's not fulfilling me in any possible way. And so I asked for a raise. They said no. And I said, all right, well, I'm sorry, but that's it. You know, I've got to terminate this relationship, you know, put in my 2 weeks and everything. It was all very, very nice.
Cordial.
And very cordial. Yeah. So I left.
Professional.
But I had a plan. And my plan was, if at the end of 1 year, I have savings. So I was like, at the end of 1 year, if I haven't turned this into something that's making like equal to what I was making at my job, then I'm just gonna go back into the workforce, right?
Yep.
And then literally, and this is like a luck story, honestly, is within a month I had got Prio on NoPixel. I had a cop. Moosebeard became a cop. The Littlemans were popping off. Like
Moosebeard's been a cop for 5 years.
No, for a year. Sorry, I started this in summer of 2021.
Okay,
like my full-time move to being a content creator.
Oh,
prior to that, it was always just like a hobby. It was something that I do after work. I'd come in. I used to edit YouTube videos like back in like 2016. I did YouTube streams early on, but it was always a hobby. It was never anything that I expected to go anywhere. My expectations with that were never too like I grounded them in realism, just knowing that I might not get lucky. I might not be the guy who gets 100,000 views, right?
Yeah.
So I just had that expectation, but I always did it because it was just something that it was fun to me, and I learned so much. I learned like video editing and Photoshop usage and all that just by having this drive to be able to do this for myself. But yeah, it's if I could give a recommendation, it's have a plan, because 90% of the time it's probably not going to work out.
I didn't have a plan.
You're not going to get lucky.
Yeah. I got lucky. I mean, like PUBG came, like I think that lucky to like too lucky to the point where I realized that it was probably so lucky it'll never happen again type of lucky. Like PUBG was like, that started a genre craze, not just a big title that comes out like God of War. God of War is an insanely big title, but that cycles out right away. Like it gets consumed like as quickly as possible for streamers, and then it gets put on the shelf, and that's it. But PUBG started a genre, like battle royales come from that. So you have like obviously like a massive growth on a genre that was pretty new. H1Z1 was the next most popular, and Ninja back then would have 2,500 viewers, and he was the biggest creator by far playing H1. PUBG comes out, and it's like instantaneously like is all exploded, and no one knew how to play it, because most people would just be like, I heard about this game, I'm gonna check it out, I have no idea how to play it. So I just like chucked together a video that was like literally 30 minutes of uncut footage of me just talking all monotone, like, oh yeah, you see here, what you got to see is this and that. But there was enough information there that people liked it. It did well based on the algorithm, and that was just enough of an incentive to make another video. And that one did okay, and then another one, and then another one. And then the hobby quickly becomes a job, and then a job becomes a career. But it's man, I guess it's very easy, and it's very nice to say how lucky we are, but there's some things that I wonder if you guys want deal with as well. Do you guys still like playing video games?
Oh yeah. Oh man.
I really do.
I don't know.
Do you have not as much? Do you have when you turn your stream on, so to play a new game, and you see that obviously when you're not doing your main game, you're gonna see some sort of drop, maybe significant, maybe insignificant, depending on who you are. When you see that type of stuff and you're playing that game, are you enjoying it for the game itself? Are you enjoying streaming, or is it a mixture of both?
I'll go first, because I got a lot to say on this. I guess you could say it's both, because in your mind, as somebody who you have to be very business minded when you're doing streaming, when you have to think about too many numbers. And something that I've always tried to focus on was pushing all that away while I'm streaming. Mm-hmm. Don't focus on my viewers. Don't like how many viewers I have. Don't focus on like, am I going to hit the number of hours this month for my ad revenue or something like that? Like try to push all that to the side and just like enjoy what I'm doing. So generally I'll only play something that I actually enjoy playing. I'm not just going to play it because, Among Us is the new craze. I've never played Among Us, right? Like I just don't care. I don't really have any like wish to want to play something like that. Probably fun. It's probably fun with the right people, but I just never really interested me. So I'm not gonna play like the new craze game just because so I want to play something I actually enjoy.
Yeah, even just a game that's like, let's say a niche game, like a game that you've been excited to play. Right. So I guess the cost, I think, is the business. You know what? I'm talking too much. Change. What do you think? Do you still enjoy games?
Yes and no. This particular type of games I like. There's a new game that just dropped, Warhammer.
I'll play the fuck out of that with you if you want.
Yeah, I can't stream that. I can't stream that. But yeah, streaming or playing, like pigeonholing yourself into a certain directory or a certain game, because let's be honest, 99% of people who do no pixel are not variety streamers. Like 80,
Wish there were
like
variety.
yeah, 50%
That's the fucking
or
dream.
more
Or come there specifically to
for that,
try and make a play, you know, to try and make it
yeah.
a career.
And like the viewership, 50% or north of 50% of the viewership is there for the role play. So if you play anything else, you know, 9 times out of 10, most streamers, apart from Penta, that guy's, I don't know how he does it, but most people lose like half of their viewership or somewhere around there.
At
And
least.
sometimes even when you play a different character, like you explaining, Moses, you lose viewership to if you play a different character, and that has a play on your mental.
Definitely.
That could bum you out, even if you're not. I don't look at my viewership at all. I average at like most times north of 100, but if
Right.
I ever dip below like an average that I've set already, and I know,
Bothers
and
you.
I look at my, yeah, it fucks with you, right? It fucks with your head.
It's
Even,
yeah. Keep going.
no,
Sorry.
go on. Even if like for example, let's use Penta or Kyle as an example. I bet you if they have 4K viewers, which is still huge, they'd still feel some type of way. And
It's I know lots of people like that. I can
yeah,
I
it
tell
takes
you from firsthand, it's true.
it takes enjoyment out of playing video games, because yes, it's a hobby, but it's also a job at times, and sometimes you got to do things when you don't want to because it's your career.
Yeah.
And like mixing the two, it makes it kind of, it muddies the water.
Takes
So
the magic away,
enjoyment,
man. Because it's easy. It's and you know what, I want to circle back to RP after this, because I think that they do correlate, like you know, the things that happen to you in character that are negative, you know, that you know they can bum you out in real, like it's the disconnection between like what happens to your character versus what happens to you in real life. But you know, the enjoyment and the cadence of gaming, like I apologize. I find myself, and I noticed this on my VOD when I was just, you know, looking for stuff for YouTube, is I found myself apologizing for the game I was playing. I was playing God of War, a game that I truly loved. I love that series.
You're like, sorry, we're not on No Pixel Boys.
Yeah, exactly. Like I know, hey, listen, because you're talking about, like I'm talking about Warzone and shit. I'm doing weapon unlocks in Warzone for, you know, for the game. And I'm like, sorry guys, like I know we're gonna get back to the mode you guys want to see. You know, it's no, you know, this has got to be done. I'm explaining to the people that are, you know, that are watching that why I'm doing what I'm doing and why the content will be better in the future. And that was like when I saw that, I'm like, dude, what am I doing? You know, like you have to truly, you know, there is someone said to me, like you'll notice when the creator is enjoying or not enjoying themselves, and you kind of, you know, the vibe and the mood is dictated by that. I was miserable on Facebook every single day, every day, and it reflected that. You know, you can see that. And I think that the cost, I think, is that you kind of, you look at video games and the product you make on stream as having to be like a TV show. Because if you change someone's favorite TV show, they just tune out. It's, you know, if, you know, I keep going back to Game of Thrones, but if all of a sudden, you know, they replace Daenerys with I don't know, I don't know, someone else, someone even someone who looks kind of like her but is not quite her, people lose their minds. They would be revolts in the streets. You know, we would be canceling left, right, and center. So I want, the reason I wanted to tie this back in is how do you guys stay engaged in the late stage No Pixel? How do you stay engaged, getting up and doing essentially what I imagine you might feel some days like pretty similar stuff every day? How do you stay engaged?
Can I go with this one?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Hydra. Yeah.
And this is coming from somebody who has had a pretty tumultuous relationship with No Pixel. I've had the ups, I've had the downs, I've had the, you know, the $3,000-$4,000 months, like 2-3 months in a row, and then gone back to $100. And that was
like this is your streaming, your engagement.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So once I was like on the coming up and I was like getting like, you know, the hundreds of viewers, you know, regularly, and like finally starting to trust that it was like a consistent thing, and then it wasn't a consistent thing and I was wrong, and now I'm back to like,
was there a catalyst?
Yeah, so I was I kind of like did some Zerka roleplay when he was like brand new to the server. Tommy Tate.
Oh, I see.
It was all supernatural. None of it was like dick writing. And then it was really good RP, and then I had to move. The house that I was living in got sold out from under me, and so I had to move. And in that 2-week period where I had no computer because everything was like literally in a truck, I came back to nothing.
Yep.
And it was, dude, that fucked me up really bad. I didn't stream for months after that. I was like over it. I was like, I'm done.
Gotta stay on the treadmill, man.
And so now when I come back, I sort of trick myself a little bit. I think of NoPixel as like a streaming hobby. You know, it's a fun thing that I do for fun, and that I try not to like put expectations on it. And when I lose those expectations, that's when I find the most success typically. So the way that I stay engaged in like late stage NoPixel, like you're saying, is I just try to have fun with people. I find that when I am laughing and I'm making other people around me laugh, that's when I'm getting the most dopamine and the most reward. I find that streaming and content creating on NoPixel, I'm at the stage now where I've got like a consistent, 15 or 30 people that sort of cycle in. So, maybe I have 7 to 10 viewers pretty consistently right now, which most people would say is like dog shit and I should quit. But at this point, like, I'm enjoying myself and I'm having a good time, and I'm like getting on old characters that I was really stressed to play before. And so when I'm engaging other people and we're like having fun, I can kind of stop thinking like, am I going to succeed? Am I going to be successful? Like, am I going to?
Have you ever played on any of their servers?
No.
I
was a Wild West RP. So when I very first started, I started playing on a server called Twitch RP, and I was on there for like a couple of weeks before I realized how like shitty and toxic and clicky it was. And I was like, I'm out. And then I found Wild West RP, and that's where I met 52 Chains, and then we all kind of came to NoPixel around the same time.
Got it.
So pretty much my entire RP career has been on NoPixel.
Do you typically equate your streaming success with your RP success as well?
I don't really know what RP success means.
Does it mean streaming success? Because I mean, sometimes.
So for me, it's a direct correlation. For me, it's a direct correlation, right? If I'm doing success, if I'm successful in streaming, then I'm succeeding in NoPixel, right?
So would you say that your drive to stay on the server is more so like a drive to like make sure that the streaming stuff stays like relevant?
No. So when I'm on the server, I'm trying to be the best role player that I can be. I grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons and role playing games, and I used to do a lot of MUDs when like the internet was new, and I really love role play. It's genuinely like one of my like biggest, most favorite hobbies. I have a lot of love for it, and I try to really role play very, very well. Like I try to make sure that the main things that's happening is like I'm having fun, and the people around me are empowered to also have fun, right? I'm like an L taker. I'm an L farmer. If it means other people feel like they're having a good time, right?
So how do you stay? So because I mean, we were talking a little bit before the podcast about like Hydra and some of the stuff that you were like just dealing with in character that I think we all we have shortcomings of our character that maybe we had a start that we're excited about. FIB is a big one. I think Booba has been on that yo-yo for 100 years now. The poor guy.
Yeah.
So there's like, do you when you are looking at like your engagement and the reason you get on the server every day, like what is in your mind? Like, what is your motivation?
That's a hard question. I'm seeing more consistent viewership, right? I would like to be able to quit my day job and content create.
Fair enough.
That's really genuinely what I want. But if that meant role playing badly to do it, I couldn't do it. I've always had this problem where like I can't dick ride. I just can't bring myself to do it. The boys always tell me, everybody that comes on the show says, dude, just dick ride. Just find somebody that's successful that wants you around and just role play with them. And it's so hard. I don't know if it's ego. I don't know if it's pride. I don't know if it's some weird, like elitist thought process where I'm like, true role players don't need to dick ride. It
doesn't feel. You don't want a participation medal just for showing up.
Yeah,
you don't want to be
it's
like
disingenuous, and I just don't want it. That's not what I want. That's not why I'm here. So
I think that's definitely pride. Definitely pride. I mean, I experienced the same thing. James, what about you? What's your motivation?
I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't be. I don't know if I'd be on NoPixel if it didn't have the biggest viewership. This is me being genuine.
Yeah.
I'm on the server because it's got the most eyes on it, and every streamer has a little narcissist in him.
Of course.
So when you're appreciated,
Absolutely.
when
To
you're
say you
appreci-
don't is you make you a fucking liar. That's true. Like,
Yeah.
why do you think that? You know, if I think that if you wanted to make an argument about, you know, I think that it's well. Before I get to that, Trums, what about you? What's your motivation every day?
I mean, besides the fact that I do this for a living and it puts food on my table, and you know, like my girlfriend's going to school right now.
All
she's not
valid
working.
reasons, by the way.
So, like, literally, this is our only form of income. Besides that, it's people. It's meeting new people, and like for instance, all three of you guys. Like, I've made not just from NoPixel, not just from that, but just like from doing all this whole streaming thing together. It's just like meeting people. Like 6 years ago, I reached out to a guy on YouTube who had 500 subscribers, the same number that I did, and I was like, dude, I saw your PUBG video, it was great. Or no, it was Daisy. I saw your Daisy video, it was so good. Like, dude, you have a great mic, you seem like a good guy. Do you want to and I said the word, I said it. Do you want to collaborate?
Collab?
Yeah. Said collab, bro, collab. And me and this guy are still friends. Like, we're still homies to this day.
Shout him out. What's his name? What's his channel?
Echo VG. He doesn't stream anymore because he a bitch. He's just going to school or something.
Yeah.
A really good guy. Just like, and I met him and his friends from that. Like, we made friends. It's the reason that I've like stayed on NoPixel, obviously, besides the fact that like the community actually enjoys watching it, is I have always had like this creative need, like drama class or anything like that, to like improvise and to just like spew creativity out of my body. Whether it was like getting really good at Photoshop and making like funny Photoshops, or like, you know, just making funny jokes on the spot, doing improvisations. Like, just, I need to be able to spew creativity out of my body and do something different all the time. And yeah, like, I mean, we do end up doing a lot of the same stuff every day on NoPixel.
Yeah.
But when you switch it up and you ride with someone new, or you interact with somebody who like doesn't have a lot of viewers, but they're just like an interesting guy, you know, it's fulfilling in that sense. You know, it might not be like the most business wise choice, you know, if you're like trying to get ahead or like up your numbers or anything like that. But as far as like my own personal enjoyment goes, that's kind of where it's at. It's like making people laugh, making friends, and just having the ability to be creative. And when I first started NoPixel, actually I started on Rivalry RP, and that's when I met like No Illusions, who played Bobby Schmigel. I had always said like, this is the pinnacle of like creativity that I've ever done on like my stream or YouTube or anything like that. It was like, this is like the biggest creative outlet that I could possibly have. And this is coming from a guy who literally got his character idea from doing Sea of Thieves roleplay before like RP blew up. I was out there just like, I was jumping on people's ships as old Captain Moose.
You guys never played like Altus Life or anything like that? Arma? You guys never did like the Altus or anything like that?
No, I did. I was always ask questions.
Yeah.
I was always an ask questions, shoot after kind of guy on like DayZ. Like, I'd always try to, or like any kind of game with voice chat, and you try to like talk to the person first before shooting. Yeah, DayZ, I was always that kind of guy too.
I think DayZ and NoPixel have a very similar kind of trajectory, because like initially when DayZ first came out, like, John, you okay, bud? You gonna be all right?
Yeah. I lost my earbud. I ripped my thing out of my ear.
It looked like you were dying over there, pal. So like the early days of DayZ. Did I call you Hydra? I don't know what your name.
Hydra, yeah.
Okay, so the notion of like, you know, it was called emergent gameplay, like how people would actually behave in like an apocalyptic situation. And people would like look at DayZ as like this perfect example of emergent gameplay. And I think RP is a very similar vein to that, where like the idea of RP, like from a top down, sounds awesome. Like everybody plays a role, everybody, you know, the rules seem to make it seem like this utopian situation, right? So I think what 3.0 has kind of taught us is that there is going to be a like a season effect. Like you're going to have that initial like new and fresh feeling where everyone appreciates the place, and then by I say it a lot in character, like it's like they just took the admission price off of Disneyland. There's people pissing in the goddamn dream castle. The Disney princess has had someone stole her tiara because they could sell it for at a special guy only they know about and won't tell anybody about. It's like this like the gates have all gone up around like these massive enterprises in character, and the middle portions where like new people and other people kind of live is like this kind of like tumbleweed wasteland where you either sink or swim. And a lot of it, kind of going back to, and that's the reason I asked you guys, where you find your motivation is, we all roll characters, we all do this thing, but do you feel like the long-term implications of like do you feel like that you can are you ready to gear up again and do it all again if like a hardcore server comes out, or if they wipe it or whatever, like what do you think that's going to be like?
I think it would be, I think anything like that, I think it's going to be good at first, and then we're going to, even a hardcore server, you're still going to, like, kind of like you were talking about earlier about how like the connections that you build with people, those are still going to happen. The big groups are still going to have, even if they have to kill their character and make a new one, they're going to come in knowing all their boys and having all of the resources that their boys have. And there's probably going to be a meta around having like a safe person who holds all the money and all the resources, right? Like if the goal is realism, this is not the game for it, right? If the goal is realism, it's not going to be, you're not going to be successful. Mm-hmm. So you have to step away from the realism and just like let the shit happen. And if a hardcore server means less, like a little more easier for people to break into, great, but it probably won't be. It probably, anytime people go like, oh, this is the thing that's going to change, everything's going to be we finally have the monorail, boys, like it's not going to work out.
I wanted to mention this earlier, but I don't think it's specifically a server problem. I think it is a
people problem.
What RP has evolved into across the board. Every server, it's not just NoPixel. It's just where it is and what it exists as now, and people's idea of what it should be. I don't think any possible change could bring us back to what it was. And I think our only choice is to strive for something better as we move forward and try to mold it into something better. Instead of trying to look back and be like, oh, okay, I wish we were still in like the heavy consequence era of 2.0, or I still wish we had like this from early on, or people still felt this way. It's like, well, I think we should try to move into something better, knowing that we can never go back.
Mm-hmm. I like that. And just kind of admit where we are in like the trajectory and just move on, like move past it.
Yep.
My opinion on it is, I feel like if we're talking about NoPixel exclusively, one of the main reasons I don't think much is going to change is because of the dichotomy between the server and external factors being like Twitch followings and relevancy and clout.
Trade prio and traffic generated from,
Exactly. So even if there is a wipe, expecting someone to not fall in with their in-group that they eat with, make money with, it's lunacy.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
They're not going to walk away from that and risk losing everything.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of roleplay, People
are
making their careers off of this, and I've come to accept that. I used back in the day when I first came on NoPixel, I hated the clickiness.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
I asked myself, why is this happening? Why are certain people appealing to other people? Because I came from a server where there was no clout.
Yeah.
But the biggest streamers were not the main focus. I don't know what it is with Red Dead, but there's a
speed.
It's inherently slower.
It's speed. Yeah. You can't just, I can't jump in a helicopter and go over to Valentine. Like I gotta trot my goddamn horse down. I'm gonna probably start playing Red Dead RP soon, but
I want to.
Yeah, it's.
Are you whitelisted on Wild RP?
Yeah. So you think
Get
that
a little
the
Porsche going.
yeah, you think that everything's going to stay the same for not like the same, but like
For no pixel, yes.
Yeah.
For no pixel, yes. Because of just external factors, cloud, all of that. It's just gonna. What it's gonna do is it's gonna off like I've had this discussion with people 2.0 leading into 3.0. People thought that so there's a rule where you had to make a complete memory wipe, and then the admins backtracked, and then there's a rule where you could bring back characters you permit, and the admins backtracked and they retracked and it was chaotic, and it took
to say that you could or could not bring
Initially
back
you
a common
couldn't.
character.
I don't know.
Initially, you
bring
could
back
Yeah,
not.
initially you couldn't.
Oh,
But then
good. I hope
you-
I'm probably going to resurrect McNulty.
Yeah, I think there's I don't see them saying no, but they said memory wipes for everyone. It took 1 or 2 weeks, 1 or 2 weeks. No, not even one. As soon as people came out of the apartments, because that's where everyone was spawning out of.
Yeah.
It was, oh, hey,
CG
I
was
you
with
seem cool. I
CG.
like you.
Yeah, yeah, I like the
Me
look
and
of
boys
your.
were- all the groups, like all the main groups, they were there back there.
Of
in
course.
the same place.
It's funny how that works out. Some souls are just have a bond.
Well, the thing is, man, is like, and I guess this is the thing that keeps me up at night. And there's no real answer to the questions I ask, so I really hate that I this is part of my personality.
This is good. I
But
like
the I look at it this way: you have a lot of big creators that got big with GTA. You know, GTA did not start a large category. RP on Twitch did not start at the top of the category. It was just one of those things that like was kind of a niche thing happening in Arma, and then this thing kind of happened, and GTA just has a spark, like a magic thing. It's people, time and place. You have the certain people that were all together, and a lot of these guys that were all there at the beginning are still there now, and are large topics of the discussion as to why. Again, for like CG, like the reason why I think there's such a massive amount of loyalty there, and I completely understand it, is just that they've been there from the beginning and they haven't gone anywhere since. And that has basically enabled a man to have a business and a family and be comfortable. And that is a type of bond that you simply will not break on Reddit or on a hate thread or on a video or anything we say. So I completely understand where Coil comes from in his decision making, because he, like all of us, is trying to keep his business afloat. However, that business is built on the talent and the circumstance of pure, what I thought to be roleplay, and the talent of people that brought that roleplay to the server. So if RP continues to be, in a sense, and through maybe not direct intent, but just the best way forward that the management sees, if it slowly becomes deprioritized and becomes less important to the nature of your character on the server and your status on the server, the thing that built it is no longer there. And the hook, the stories, the characters, the development, the stakes, the whatever, all the things that keep us coming back. Because if I knew, spoiler alert, anyone not seen House of the Dragon?
Me. Here,
Okay,
go ahead. No, go
okay.
ahead.
There's a point in one of the climaxes of the first season where there's an obvious decision to be made by a character who is in an extreme powerful position, where they could essentially end a storyline instantaneously, and it would make perfect sense to do so. However, the story will not continue afterwards. So if you don't have that hook, why do I come back for, like, if this thing happens and the thing that's obvious could be done does happen, the story ends. It just simply ends. There's no way forward. So if you take away that hook of the story, that continuous need to tune in, because you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know that your favorite guy is going to get away every time, you don't know if someone's going to survive or live or whatever, does the category, does 4.0 truly matter, or is it really just a showcase for people to come in and try out the newest thing and then return back to whatever it is? Like you're essentially, the server is being used as a prop for creators to use and then leave when they're done, rather than have the people that build the place be and that's why I have no problem with CG or almost anything that they fucking do, because they are as critical to the server as the server itself. You know what I mean? It's one of those weird, like, in the same way that sometimes we fucking hate the circumstances of our lives, we know that there are things that simply will not change. And it's like, do I need to villainize an individual for this problem? No pixel is a reflection of life. There is a power band of individuals and a power system that is created over time and circumstance that is, unfortunately, depending on when you enter into that economy, out of your control. So either you can try and break it down and say it's not fair, let's fundamentally reset everything. Thusly, it's fair. But that's just not. It's not realistic to expect that. So, this is something that I truly struggle with because it keeps me off the server. Because I don't know how to draw satisfaction out of that situation. Because if you can see clearly that even though you understand an inequality situation and you can understand the motivations behind it and have no fault before it, me personally, as someone who truly loves roleplay, doesn't get that from NoPixel anymore. So what do I do? What does a community do? You can't. And this is why it sucks to have these questions, because there's compassion on both sides.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to have compassion on both sides. But when you bring audiences into it and you bring money into it, unfortunately, the opinion of others and the needs of others quickly becomes secondary, and that's an economy of slow decay that you can't really control without very tough decisions. Which is why I think my lucky fucking stars I'm not Coil.
Yeah, that dude, I can't imagine the amount of stress of having to run this server.
Well, I think that's why he does it the way he does. He tries not.
By decree, you have to
stress about it. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be like, because unfortunately, man, and this is a great tie-in for PD, because a lot of times in PD, you will have people who are compassionate individuals who are not strong leaders. And sometimes you have strong leaders who are not compassionate individuals.
Yeah.
And those types of people, while necessary, typically, like if you have one without the other, you're typically going to have, decay of employees like you had in LSPD. If you have, pure leadership without compassion, that's what it was, leadership without compassion. And then you have, it becomes a wider topic. Like there has to be some sacrifice on both sides, but I promise you, both sides are very, very unwilling to truly like give that, to sacrifice that in some cases.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Am I bringing too much weight? Am I bringing too much weight?
Have we had? I was trying to think. This is good. Have we had somebody that you would consider both a compassionate leader and like a good leader? My brain goes to Sam Bass, right?
Yeah, that's where I went right away.
Compassionate man, and Sab is a fucking dude. He carries dude. I can't imagine. He carries a
fucking angel.
Why do you think he's been rewarded so much? People look at the reward as nepotism rather than the fucking sacrifice that poor bastard has put in day in and day out, listening to the Mcnultys of the world. Bass, my feelings were hurt. I feel bad. He would take the time, and even as a cadet or whatever, he takes the time. But he truly is trying to do the thing, and I think that is asked of him, which is to balance all the plates, and the shitty thing is that if you are the leader of a faction, or if you're the leader of men, if you're a leader of people, you are beholden to those people. So when you as a leader of or a leader of people, and they can see, or their opinion or their visibility, and this is as a character, making concessions for a large, powerful group of people, it gets memed a lot, and Nathan carries this burden too, Crane, of server health. I know how I imagine what I imagine Nathan wants the DOJ to look and feel like from a selfish perspective.
You can hear it in the man's sigh sometimes. He'll go like,
and he talks about it all the time, about the purity of court RP, where everyone gets to have a say, has an equal like what he is talking about is an equal forum, and to deny a guy, not deny, to have a circumstance where that type of institution is degraded to the point where, and this is an RP circumstance, no criticism on the people involved, but the verdicts coming out on the forums, is like, that it really has the institutions of the server are decayed. Mm-hmm. And, as PD versus Crim, the motivation is the same. Like you want to have a true reason, and sometimes for criminal, it's just because the cops, we hate the fucking cops. And that's an easy rung to grab when you have nothing else going on. It's just they're annoying us. They're truly getting in the way of what we want to do. And then on the other side, you have the cops who say, these guys only use us as, as absolutely necessary, and then flee.
God, I'm so glad I don't fall on either of those sides of that fence.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's if the question is what is the long-term viability of the community, and the talking about Bass, like the leadership and compassion thing, is Bass is a tremendously compassionate. Sab is a tremendously compassionate individual, and I think that he has been crucified for that, in the court of public opinion, which is a bunch of people who aren't involved, and typically, when given, and you know what. It's a little bit rude, but a lot of the people who truly criticize and get so involved in this stuff, if you were to hold a microphone up to their face, these are the people that can get through a second grade reading, let alone do some role play with a person who brings energy like Sab does.
It's very easy to have an opinion.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like the true need, I think, on both sides is like a little bit of compassion, but true leadership. And I think that's why Brian is going to do really well as a chief. Like as Mcnulty and as a person, I had like a really tough relationship with the guy, but he obviously gives a huge amount of shits. He cares tremendously about the things that he does, and that type of energy is so important. I just hope that's the type of stuff that gets rewarded over time.
Yeah,
I think Brian will do well.
Historically, I said this in character, and I meant it out of character too. Historically, if you look at Brian's arcs, he always goes, gives no shits, kind of does what I want, gets some power, gets into a position of like control and like office, starts getting bored, blows it up for fun RP, stops RPing for a while.
Yeah, well, Medi is an intelligent individual, and I think that I
have a ton of love for Medi, to be clear.
I think he is very in tune with the server, and I think that he skates while the rest of us are really slipping a lot of the times, because I think he understands the power dynamics and how to kind of flow between that, and he's leveraged that in character to a tremendous level of power. So like kudos to him, and I hope that his PD is successful, because I think the one thing that's really lacking across a lot of organizations and in the server is just I don't know, is an error of like, okay, like we can fuck around, but within the confines of like an overarching serious organization.
He's excellent at being decisive. That's one of the things that Medi on any character he plays, you see consistently. He makes good decisions decisively and bad decisions deliberately decisively. Yeah.
And I think it's the server management does that too. Like they do very decisive changes. It might be drastic, and I think that's it's like the physics equation. Like if you pull the string or the pendulum all the way to the one side and let it go, it's gonna go equally the opposite direction as well. So when you make these like the class 2 changes, for instance, like you can kind of see the long-term implications of what this is. But I truly believe that they're doing these drastic changes for 4.0. This is more of a fun discussion.
They're getting us warm for it. Yeah,
we're the beta test. Like we're just gonna start making drastic changes, see what happens, and then because really the economy is what drives the. Like if everyone had $0 and all the changes that they've made were in place, I bet you that it would be a different situation.
That'd be great. Yeah, I think that you're exactly right. Like we're seeing what the beginnings of what will be, and if you kind of defer your enjoyment, if you like go, okay, I'm gonna delay my happiness.
It's called hopium, I believe is what they call that.
Hopium. If you help the hopium,
you're helping on
future,
hopium.
If we're okay now, in the future it'll pay off, right?
Yeah. I mean, really, it's about the people.
Can I ask a question, kind of a topic change, about where we are now? And I really want to know this about you, Moses, because you are going through some big changes. You have, and you are, and you will. And I'm
becoming a man.
You're finally becoming a man, dude. And I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
You were kind of here, and then you were here, and now I can see you.
Where am I now?
Upward slide. You're right.
Where was I? Now where am I?
You were over here, and now you're here.
Okay, so it was a lateral move, not upwards. Because at first you did one of these, and then you did one of these afterwards. And I'm trying to wonder if you were illustrating the massive fall from grace that I am experiencing.
So when you moved off Twitch,
yes,
when you moved off Twitch for Facebook, you said this earlier. You stopped uploading. You stopped posting to social media.
Yes, I got lazy. Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you if you regret it. I'm not going to ask if you could change it, but I'm going to ask you, what are you doing now to transition from that to where you'd like to be? And the question really goes for all of us is where you are versus where you want to be, and what are you doing to get there?
Well, I had I've had a lot of internal monologues on this because, I find myself thinking a lot of,
I believe
you have your logic brain, and then you have you have the realistic path that you can objectively look at. Like, you look at the top down perspective of anything, and you can say, well, the numbers really aren't really showing a lot. What the numbers are reflecting, which is the reality, which is I have been off the platform and I'm coming back to, I'm wandering. Facebook is things go in and they do not come out. So if you operate on that platform, and you can have success. Like, I have 115,000 followers on that platform. Damn. I will never see any of them again. And in fact, most of them only saw me one time and then never saw me again. So as far as I'm concerned, that is just a number on a screen. So, what it breaks down to is who the fuck am I? I don't know who I was a PUBG person. Then I was a roleplay person. I don't know if I am anymore. I love roleplay, I truly do. But we've had a discussion. I truly love the server, but I can't play on it. I can't go on it anymore. So at the end of the day, I don't feel good about the interactions, and I get down about it. It's not good. So to answer your question as shortly as I can is, you have to look within yourself to ask, truly be honest. What do you want? I want to be a person that makes stuff. Because when I went on Facebook, I would put a lot of effort into things and put it out there, and then based on the algorithm, whatever, it would do nothing. And unfortunately, GTRP does not translate that well because it's long form content in a short form world. How are you going to boil down this situation to a minute? And that's why Pogtent, the content stuff, has become so prevalent. Is because that is what is demanded.
Look at iShowSpeed, right?
Yeah, the ability to, they're bringing in Formula One, all this stuff that's coming into the server is huge showpieces, huge, great things to show the server. But I mean, I need to find within myself, what do I want to be? I want to make stuff. So I want to make good content, primarily, something that I'm proud of. And I guess that is going to be the type of content that you brought up in the beginning. I'm very proud of talking about some of the more meta stuff around gaming, like the just the competitive nature and the weight of going into a competitive situation can bring. If it's in life or whatever, like leadership qualities, the ability to just kind of boil yourself down. I want to make stuff, the ability, and hopefully it's something that someone else can resonate with, because chasing money and chasing just clicks and clout and whatnot. You're just chasing approval that you're asking for from other people that are only looking for it themselves. So you're never going to be satisfied.
I agree.
Can I go next?
Yeah. I want Chains to go next. Then you.
I do also want Chains.
No, then Troms, and then you. And then after that, me again.
I'm going
and then
now.
you. I'm the host now. I'm taking over this podcast.
Oh my God.
Put me on the top right. I'm just joking.
He's taking over.
Of course I want to hear what you have to say, Hydra.
Earlier we were talking about what drives you a little bit. Why do you keep doing it?
My chauffeur.
Dude, this podcast honestly has kept me going a lot.
You're making something. It's yours.
I'm making it with the boys, my friends. I make more friends every time we do this episode. I haven't had an episode with somebody where the relationship didn't get better afterwards. And this is a fringe benefit I didn't think about. But we're opening up and we're talking about things, and we're showing certain people hey, we can talk on a level that is outside of this video game. We don't have to exist in this content creation bubble.
You're on stage.
Yeah, and then we're on here together and we're talking about this shit, and we're showing each other that we trust each other, trust to have your opinions on here. And then after the fact, it's easier for me to message you and go, dude, did you hear about this thing? That sucks. Or did you hear about this thing? This is fucking Pog. And then it's like the relation. And that's what I crave. When I started streaming, I always wanted to emulate like Sea Nanners and those guys. You know, they always do like co-op games. When I started role playing, I really wanted. I started role playing because I thought it was the ultimate cooperative game.
Right, and it's based on cooperation. The only thing that drives it is cooperation. But
on servers like NoPixel, like you said, there becomes this competitiveness. Yep. And inherently, when you introduce competitive nature to gaming, the cooperativeness kind of can go out the window. Obviously, you can competitively cooperate with a certain group, but that's not, I think, the interactions that I'm really looking for. I don't really want to be a gang leader that's winning wars versus other gang leaders, right? That is competitive, cooperative role play, but it's also competitive versus role play. Mm-hmm. So I think when I think about this, like this is cooperative. What we're doing right now, we're cooperating really like casually, and we're making content, and it's really fun and it's exciting. And every time we put out a new episode, dude, my heart like soars, and I go and I tell my girlfriends, and I'm like, babes, we made a new episode. And they're like, I know, we heard you in there. We're really exciting.
Well, sorry, girlfriends?
Girlfriends, yeah, plural. You heard that right.
The harem?
Just two. I just live with two, and I date a couple on the side.
He only has two.
My man.
Yeah. We've lived together for like 8 years, by the way. It's not like a thing. It's like a real relationship. Yeah.
It's like real.
It's like real. You know, it's fair. I'm glad. Yeah, that's good. I have no incredulous. I am. The relationship. I can see that. You bring that. What is the word? I used to work in nightclubs. I'm not sure if you guys knew this, but I was a bouncer for like 7. I was a bouncer for 7 years. Okay, so I see Hydra, and I see a guy who fucks. I can see it, like
He does fuck.
Because he just has this folksy. I look at your profile photo. You're mysterious. You might be a warlock. Who knows? So you have to. The only way you can know that is by having a couple of drinks at your apartment. One thing leads to another. You got some great records. You and I have so many shared interests. You know what? You smell good, and the next thing you know, we're married. Just like that.
Popping out a couple kids. Whoa. Me and you, Moses. You're having the babies.
Oh man, I wanted. I guess it's the nature of like person to person interaction. Yeah. When you have a truly real conversation with somebody, even if it's frivolous about the weather or whatever, if you're standing on it happens in RP all the time, but most people have their guard up. Because we're performing, we're all performing. It's every second on NoPixel is a potential exposure, potential whatever, this, that, and the other thing. And when you inhabit a character with the mindset of I truly hope that the next person likes my interaction, then you just become like everybody else. It becomes, and I think that's why antagonistic people like Carmine are. That's why people gravitate towards that stuff, because it's different. It's not a. Yeah. It's not non-standard. It's different. It's not the same guy you talk to 100 times.
It just clicked in my fucking head. These are characters. Even though Carmine is really combative and the Littlemans are really goofy, you can relax around them. You can relax your guard because beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're role playing, and these guys aren't gonna mold about it. You're having a good fucking time. That's
the rapport too, as well, right there.
Yeah, rapport. And I guess, the anger bit, I think, is the toughest bit to deal with as creators, because, the pressure is on you to regulate, and, because if you truly like what's like role play or engaged in role play, the reason you're upset and putting that through your microphone is because you're engaged. But if you do it enough times, you have this, this tenacious need to, I don't know. Like I did it on Smooth. I did it on lots of different characters. But I guess you just want to be, you're on too much. To just switch off and be like in the moment is something that you can say like, oh yeah, just be in the moment and like understand what's happening, be present. That is something that is a Herculean effort for like 99% of people. Look at the amount of stimulus we have. Like good luck, just man, my shirt feels nice today. Like, good luck. You're like, oh my God, I have fucking bills. I got shit to do. If I don't talk to this guy about the weed run I'm about to do, I'm not going to make any money. If I don't make any money, I'm not going to be able to get an S+ car. I won't be able to race. Then I'm not going to be able to get, then it becomes this pressure of every little thing has to be
Like a rat
impactful
race.
and have substance and be going somewhere, or else it's discarded and be like, next, we got to keep going. What's up? Anyway.
Yeah. Circling back. Oh, go ahead, 52.
Oh no, go for it.
I was gonna say circling back to the where you are, where you want to be, and what you're doing to get there. What do you guys?
Yeah, I want to hear. What were you gonna say, Chains?
Oh, it's gonna like a server demographic. I just noticed this. NoPixel. A lot of people's first exposures to NoPixel is through the eyes of
Streamers,
charismatic people, right? Like some of the most charismatic, because they usually have the most viewers. And when you get into the server, you're gonna have a bias towards that streamer. So there's probably if say you're coming to the server to roleplay, you're probably gonna run into a few people that don't give a shit about you, that just want to get to their favorite streamer.
Oh yeah.
And that I think when I first joined, I ran into that a lot. Nobody knew who I was. They knew who the big streamer was. So if I ever did anything antagonistic, because when I first joined NoPixel, Hydra knows this, I didn't know anyone. I just knew Kyle, and I never role played with Kyle back in 2.0 because he was a cop, I was a criminal.
And you knew me, and you wrote me into some terrible roleplay that we almost got reported for.
Yeah, and when you're an antagonist and you go to these other people that are first timers too, and you build on that. You're like, hey, this is your first time in the city? My first time in the city. Let's go rob this guy.
Yeah.
Turns out this guy is that person's favorite streamer. So now they're gonna
or you roll up to what is apparently a bunch of admins and rob them with AKs, and they get pretty upset.
Oh no, we RDM'd them and then robbed them.
According to them.
We pulled our class 2s. They decided to pull their pistols. Where do you go from there?
We roll up in a van, open the door to two guys with AKs going, hey, all right, everybody, fucking hands up, money out, all right? And then they decide to pull class 2s, and then they all get shot and then report us.
Yeah.
Not even report us, they're just admins, so they're just like, we need to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Going back to the question you were asking, Hydra, where am I now? Where do I see myself going? I have no plans. I'm taking everything a day at a time.
Yeah, I didn't expect anything less.
Are you working still, or what's your?
Yes.
Okay.
3 days a week, so part-timer.
Casual. Nice.
Oh, man. Did you drop it down once your streaming started succeeding? Did you come down to part-time or?
No, coincidental.
Okay.
I was doing 5 and then they dropped me to 3 because
kind of works out. And you're like, sure, great.
I guess, yeah.
That's why I gotta hand it to people who do that, because like, for instance, Jenny, I think she's got to do like 140 or 160 hours or something this week, or this month. She's still working. She still has like her job. And shit, but she's putting those kind of hours.
Yeah, she's
a machine.
I told her she needs to do a couple of VOD streams, honestly.
I've spoken to her about it. She's a smart. She's just one of those people that fall into it, and it's just like, of course you were meant to do this. Like, it's
she is
obvious.
currently banned from the Yespixel podcast, though. So
we've had to ban her.
Unfortunate.
No.
Well, she's a non-person and doesn't deserve any whatever I just said.
Are you saying that because she's Chinese?
No, I didn't even know she was Chinese at all. Actually,
wow, racially insensitive too. Okay,
I didn't know James was black until like I saw an episode of the podcast, and I understood what you said before. Like, it comes to a shock to a lot of people because you do such a great Italian guy.
Yeah, a lot of people. I'm from the UK as well, so it's like complete opposite of the.
So you're hiding the accent as well. You have to, you're really truly like, who are you? You're a chameleon, you're from the UK, not an Italian guy, you really are selling the character.
I don't think I've ever met an Italian from America. I've met Italians from Europe, but they're different,
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, Italians in Italy are definitely different than Italians in America. I'll tell you that right now.
Dude, there's something about Italian. Okay, this is a super weird tangent. My girlfriend went to Italy recently, and she used which one? Which Italy?
Yeah.
Which girlfriend?
I thought you were which girlfriend?
The shorter one. She went to Italy and washed all of her clothes there at like a laundromat, and it's like a wash and fold. They just do that.
They actually put San Pellegrino in the washing machines there.
Dude, you guys probably saw me smelling something like this thing. It still smells like Italian detergent. It smells so good weeks later. I don't know what they're using over there. I gotta figure it out. Oil. It smells so fucking good, man. It might be.
Yeah. Hey, listen, guys. I think we're running out a little bit of time here. I just wanted to say thank you to you guys for having me on. Like, I truly do appreciate all you guys and the time we spend in the server and just getting to know you guys all in character and whatnot on all the people I've played has been an absolute pleasure. So thanks for having me on tonight.
Dude, every single time that we hung out as like Moosebeard and Mcnulty, you're the kind of guy who I always find it hard to like stay Moosebeard with, because you're just like, you just are like a genuine person.
He turned you back into
especially when
Troms.
you said like Mcnulty being a self-insert, like, yeah, I felt that, but it was in a way that I was like, damn, like I could actually have like a meaningful in character / out of character conversation with this guy about our grievances, right? And a lot of the time with Mcnulty, it was about his grievances, which I
very salty, man.
100% agreed with. Like, you were just preaching to the choir with that one. But yeah, man, I appreciate you. And we've had a lot of people on the show already who are like extremely hard workers.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you might not think of yourself as that, but that's how I see you. And I see somebody who has worked really, really hard to get where they are. And you said it was luck, but I feel like it was a combination of luck and like actually working and putting in the research and like finding out how you can succeed and then just doing well with that. So I have to say, I really appreciate you, and you're like an inspiration to me, man.
Thank you, man. It means a lot, especially, it means a lot to hear that. Thanks, guys.
Other than a couple of times in roleplay, this is the first time I've ever really interacted with you. And I can tell you, I'm genuinely, one of my traits that my partners say that I have is that like I don't like people or things. Like that's just like a character trait that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Just from this like short 2-hour conversation that we've had, dude, I think really highly of you. I think you're a really smart dude.
I'd kiss you, man.
I think you work really hard.
All right,
kiss
now
you right on your
James,
forehead.
Tell me how much you like me before the podcast. I'm going to bottle this up and just
I hate that you have a bigger beard than me. I don't think there's been a podcast yet where I've had a bigger beard than Crayon was on, right?
Don't worry. Like I mentioned this before, but I hate to bust this out on you, man, but I can see it already. And the best part is that as this thins, this will grow in. It is a trade. It is a trade. So it really just starts right here. So eventually you're gonna be like, man, did that come out in the shower, or oh man, is that just on my clothes? Where did this? How did this happen? And then it's like, oh, you know what? I found out I was balding. I was working in a nightclub and I walked by a security camera and they showed the recording of me walking past the security camera, and all I could see was the shiny bit on the back of my head, and I was just like, what the fuck is that? And then I went home.
Sorry,
and
I couldn't hear you over all this fucking hair. Hold on.
Whatever. I know it's a bald cap.
I'm sorry, man.
You know what? Polygamists are actually legally obligated to have long hair. So don't pretend like that's not a part of their uniform.
Polygamy is the religion. Polyamory is the practice. Non-monogamy is the game.
Sorry. Okay, fair enough. Perfect ending.
Dude, Moses, appreciate you. We'll have to have you back on. We're going to start cycling guests back because I want to have you back in a couple weeks, couple months, see where you're at.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you, everybody.
I want him to host one of our shows.
Honestly, yeah, I might hit you up for a guest host. We have a couple people who've like signed up to be guest hosts, so we will. Thanks again. Really appreciate you.
I can do that.
Hell yeah.
Well, I mean, it's gonna get weird around Christmas time anyway. We might have to do some double episodes here.
True.
So we'll see.
So how are we done? That's the end?
It is now, because I'm gonna say Yespixel episode number 19. Thanks for listening, everybody.